If sabre kopim se bobudu baako na ye de aseda ma special ice so mu kra yemu e de special drink ko hwe manimu a grape ni na wa hai e de papa na de keka other flavors no so wakola ne de ka kan no so no ebi e wa ha eno achi nso this way chocolate drink and the coffee drink so kra yemu pa omosu mu abepim sabre de o ma se papa no pe nu bi wada na yunyu to no mu a na hit body no afi ni tufu ni tabekwan so omo so wada romanti amafufu di aye mre abekwan so ne noa aye boko and the portion tadi ehemi ya ye national teams no wo mo jesi o mo hye me kai ahwefo nyina se ye ma no ye ofase no ma no o mu si akan o Morocco African Cup of Nation ma de no enti Black Queens wo Morocco a o mu si akan mo de kan ahye abo akan se di kan ama o mu di nkunim o mo hye ke vedefo eka mi no mo ntumi ante ochina wo mo ne Cameroon na bebo ye ntumi anko stadium akobo anje wo mo so se de ye Blasters no enti bigide se de ye betumi aye eni se ye be hye ntade no e wo Ghana ha na bebia ye obia na so mo ko social media o ma hu se o anya hwe kura no se Ghana fo ntumi amma Morocco ambe support ye physically a wo mo hye ntade na de hye nkran e wo Ghana enti be sere se obia nhyebi ne fa hye maba no ene ye nuanom ma no ye wo fase no a o mu si akan as we speak o Morocco no ye mfa enhye mu enkran esansa abo de kuruwa ne ba ya ne ne beje aha enti ye nhye no so pa ne anope and anope ye bedi nkomo tiewa na afie no ache bedwafo betena se ama ya twetwe nkomo ne nkomo ebedi no hu hia mami said nam tema klunsem no ho ye beka ho asempa na afie eno achi so ye di nkomo dia fa and somehow do be a coso yes parties hold on say o man find o most come be and we assemble kwa be hwe na de hu komo and afi constitutional review committee for no so no almost some report on by na ban so wagye atum and then they say one yin to no and se be hwe na de hu komo enra and then na nsa enra ye hu de see ye so fu pani kantanka ko Josafo na ye hu samsam mo be ye yema mo ye mo be ye ana ye do bebia ye do ntie ne ekwan be mu a ye bedi ho nkomo midin de Agya Kwabena me na me no betina kopim se ne bobo duba ko na ena no pay me pese ye card ye bi kakra ye pese ye ma ye mpanyifo hu se ne ma ba ko bi num se bi koso a esese ye di ho nkomo ne ye ka ho asem a ne ye mu ntra samba ka ya 2023 me ye video bi e wo fie ha efa ema nyumaku ahodo a etu oil Ghana ha corporate tax scarce obutua to esom de ma ye Ghana for no me ka ho asem kakra bi da mo hwe video no tiawa mi ya maka asem ketu bi afa sika bi sesa back oil company bi Ghana ha wotua ade ma oman no esa ne ankwankwan pesa menkuminya enti no ya kata so sa sika ne yetua mu fa ade ma Ghana IMF ya nkoda sika ne benya mebi kura ka akire na so adwo boni nti Ghana Revenue Authority for damo ase so omunim de ekoso mi kwa omunim de ekoso nyina omunim de ekoso nyina enkrata wo ho nyina acha bodi asam no court ama enkrata bi by say munya asam no fi court family fi why say amanoni ni ebetu wo iro Ghana na sika so de maye no afa mayen ne de asam no court a yen kuro yan sanche letter e de akokoma wo ma de asam na court so mo ntwe asam no mra fie ne enka ofie why sika no nya no so man mane tena Ghana ho o de kwa manone o wi a wasu se eni sika bi wa sika no so ne ba bi enam ade na edi ho abrosa ade ubenya wi asem ajapade nyina na mo hye no so se Solomon kase bi onya sika che obi a onya nyonyam che obi a unyanya sache obia na so ni nyina chi ohwe beku hwe ne fa hwe so fa hwe mo se ni ma minya nyina no eye huhudie so onya sika no kwampa so a na musa wo no mokwan a wo na mo so a wo gi sika no wo nya wo ho to the detriment of millions of Ghanaians you will surely pay for it enti sai sika no ye nya ya nke ne se Yesu now so a son 1 2 3 4 5 people be potwa ene bre pesa mi kominyanti ye na se Ghana fo wu kura emfa ye ho yesu ye wu so da ye betena se na sa sika no sa mo se mo nyi a mo ntwan ye de nkrata ne beba latest amotwa de ko ye nyina ye de beba to TV so mo bi ahwe nkrata efi aban mu ekọ se mo nya sanom na bi efrem mo mra fie meka nyina no ye beka ne ahwe sika dodo se oil company ni tuama Ghana wontua ne anedam IMF epachew ne ye debt exchange programmer ankura abra someone mu fifre asomo manyi pensioner for sika na sese ye de asato so no be se Yakobon fa nche yenda ofa nche mo amudi anim yesa ne man ofa nche da esan say people are dying so munimu a people are dying awo nyema bi ekoso hu nti sasa me kan ye be ye fie mienu nie na me ahwefo bo se me di akire na dia bar me wira ho mampani mahama me srew enye sika na about 3 point something billion na hwehwe mo abedu dwa se eboro sa kwara and then almost $10 billion US dollars. Ehun krataba. Na what you say ne? Ye beka ho asem. Ye den krata ni nyina. Ene de sesei wo mo de ma wo fa ma ye nyina. Ne bebie sika na hye. Ene wo mo sesei kwaje wo mo kwaje ye nyina no. Ye nyankopon no ma ye nkwa, no ma ye hoden a. Ene na wotwe da se ne. Ye beka ho asem ofie ha. That's it. Na adia ba kwa so wo Ghana ha ya ka ho asem aka na adia no bibia keke ko no edu achiri na meka galamsey ho asem na meka maka ho asem so many years nie na ese wo kan obi antie so mu tie so na mo mfa nso a bibia galamsey na adu no adu pempenso bi a I'm saying yet to me, you be bio. Yet to me, and you be bio. See, bet to be so the yes, and yes, so dear. Minimara. Yet to galam say now, I say, puano. Yet to galam say, oh, and puano. Yet to galam say, one puano. Ya tu galamse na medru baby a edan nie na ye ne ye dwiri kroni nchempe ya tu galamse na medru baby a emma ena se so mani abro mu tupa mani tupa no mu wonsuo no muso no bi da mo hase nsu fi no no mutu hwe video ya mani nie na omo ye praises and worship omo ye tie sound no kakra waje oh there was I don't wanna know why my granya tepe wo adun mi wo Yesu mu oh ye da wa se ye yi wa yo why my granya waje oh there was I don't wanna know why my granya ye ti ku na do be da wo tepe wo Sikambano, yeah, Jesus, they need them. And I never see Jesus. And I never know. Yeah, one baby are there, Nedru. Baby, I drew no. And so your mummy near my baby womo. Mamma, ma. And a sabi, with the Americano penny council. Took Ruby dita da ho eniema wom enso no mu enye sukrojen It is a wudro bi omu a the possibility say betumi ewura nipadua no mu no wo ho. Mpempe so ye duru no. We ye kituwa bi. Bibiri wo ho. Ya hu say emfa ho. Emfa ho. Ya de na kasa no. Ye nwene the side effect ebenya wo ye so china da bi. Esan se saa yarwa hodo ebenya no anye se nyebere kutu a. Sorry. Ebebo ya fono. Ana pompo ebebo yen. Ana se yade bi ebegu hunam nani amayade ani ehu nti no. Ye hunu de se de sitie. Hwewei. Efie pe. Kuro mu pe. Ye dia ma ye di kuro no so aka ho. Ye dia ya ma kuro na kasansa ye tu kuro no ye tu kuro na aka ho. Sana sisi o mana ye. Ye tu afi wiram o. Ye se de ba kuro. Ye to yan kasa o. Ya ye din. Ne bedu baby no ye ho bibia nye ye bio na ye too late. Aho ne be kasa nka ye hu yanka. Adan si ho pe ye krom ankasa. Excavator ni so no enye san fofanto bi na number bi excavator. Enti ye pa kire se excavator no kra ye mo no. Ye pa kire se ni aban krache ye ni bi. Ye ni yi nananom ahemfo, ye ni assemblyman fo. Ye ni MPs. Ye ni police form potem ho. Mobo. Na ye hwe ye. Ye di video ba ko ba kan na fema sore so tiawa. Empoano kura ye tu say ye tu gold wo mpoano. Galamsey ye di wo mpoano. Galamsey. Na se ye tiomemu. Na se dem se ekoso de aye din. Hwe. Empoano. We empoano. Why? Denti na se denti na I mean den pa na den pa na Ghana se se hwehwe den pa den na se kwanti a yetumi tu na ma ho sade we hu den pa yeni abanka cho area ho yeni question yeni ahemfo ho we mpoano o ena wakogina ho ena ohoho da ekopu no mu mpoano se ya say subontini nyina ya say bremu ya say densu ya say pra ya say ofin ya say ankobra ya say kase ya say tano subontini tano enne pona kasa ya pono si no anu si ya say no what baby ya dunu no and waka I know say obedi matter me I say em fa me ho I say my dani say ayi o bobi tu kura na hame atam de bedi usa me what the reality ni say we are killing ourselves ye kunya ho ye ka genocide I just see di tuo begu krofo so bububu ekunku wo mo we more than genocide we are more than genocide because say no yenso ya say no ekwaya ye de bedo no ban no nsase no ya say no pona da ho na ho so betu o ma yensu pa no be say from apa ana se be kokko yinam no e ho so ye de galamsey da du ho enti no be bia ye fa bia na ye say ho be bia be me ya survive no our survival nyina no ye say no I remember one MP demonstration because one cry MP ni say you took galamsey one cry ha na wo mo mra bibia you took galamsey na come beto mo pinga galamsey ye demonstrators no he has forgotten say you took galamsey one cry ha na mo nuane aye di no if you took galamsey ifi baby etu galamsey ho na nnuane ni fiba enti e won kran ha so akoma ka to akoto board fresh what okuntomire what banchi asase mu na wo but then so asase su nesi enti mercury ni cyanide any heavy metals no nutrients na ewo asase no mu no na maduaba no e kama enti se mercury no ene cyanide no wo mu a ebeba aduane no mu wo fa wani hu obenu adi na depositing kakra odipadua no mu. I think this week ya news Emma anes for ebe kan say nkwada o madi dem nkwada ye wo mu a o madi dem no e kosoro dodo akwara bi wa ne nan ni ho ebi wa ne nsa ni ho ebi wa ne hwene ni ho na so obi wa ne ni baku ni ho obi wa na no kra fa so de no fam de ni ho so your ba sabe ne ba no ebi akadwo anase ni ho kra oye be man so a ebi ne ntohwe ebi ni ho ne be man na ho ebi ne be man no kra yira kra nkwade ya wom sese no especially in many areas no sa na eba na hwehwemu kire se eba ne se sa ne ma ikoso a ye nkwada na adwene ye nkwada no karanke to eba no benya no kra no mo IQ na be kofam the one kwada na be smart one be intelligent one be clever no ebe kofam because sa heavy metals ne ma na nyina no enya effect e wadwen no so ye de anoto ho a ya innuane ye di ye kidney ye liver ye lungs beka ya harawa ye mrebo ani ya sabo nti innuane ye di nyina eno so e de yare eba doctor for beka am who say kidney yare no e kosoro efiri sene me ya and obi I said what you want to ask you what you ask now you know just say what you ask and there you said they do it with impunity it's some here no the camera see omo so no mo twa no the better social media mutumi ye foku a bibia person kwa de omo ye quietly maybe obinya kwame na okutwa no de abana say de omo de twa omo ho ya na yetwa abutumi ya hwe mumia hwe bibi yipa because gradually ye de omo na tu edu mpempenso bi a abekisa na matches ye pa ne pa no be hyehyew wo de phone say pa ekọ ahye the tetis ane say nipa etu no dodo no anso nya ganafo ena omunim ye kọ na sinyina ena ye sika kokọ nwasem so ne ye ka amahodo antokwata sipa no dodo no afi mineral resources say the natural mineral resources no we person me take over we so person me take over ena de okumba enti se ho no no afi ni krom aba a obi nim de o sponsor no o kratio onum corners chen yen aye amanfo dankasa enti bedu bribi no se wo so okunu bebre a o na me kire no ono so so gina se no sika kokko oni ho agro because ono onye sika de man the bosses abombo sponsor ne ma hudu bi obabi aye nim enti obos gina because onim babi ano mo do so nti no oboso mbe sorry da ho na di asem ne beba da ho ina di asem ne beba daylight robbery ay koso baku tema onipa ni iska na gbam abranche bi de BMW tie wo mo a no konya mo baby ansa na ba omo che ba ko omo aka de omo dwane according to sources no ko mo nya ganafo ni ya che ba ko bunsu kwan su ya anajo akwamuka form robbers bunsu apeja chance bunsu kwan ya this week ya obe hwe mu no they might not be Ghanaians obe fihi it gradually nkakra na say ayi immigration for kwachi nkrofobia say da honya nipa 102 102 102 ɛyɛ dɛ ɔmako gu dan bi mu a internet korɔ no na ɔmo yɛ adwuma na ɔmo yɛ na yɛsɛ yɛafa ɔmo sɛ nkoa na yɛaboa ɔmo na ebinom ɛna ɔmo wɔ hɔ na ɔmo yɛ frakadam nneɛma ɛde sɛ ɔman Ghana din yɛhwehwɛ mu naa no ɔmo fie nkɔ yɛn nuanom yɛ hɔ ɛna aba ɔmo abɛgu ha na ɔmo yɛ deɛ ɔmpɛ biara nkasa ɔmo na ɔmo twi moto paa sometimes so na baabiara na traffic sɔ na ɔhwɛ moto na edi hɔ nyina wode hwɛ woyɛ Ghana ni a wohu nua Ghana ni a wohu so ɔmo yɛ 100 a emu 80 wotum so ɔmo mfiri ha enti sɛ bibi ba they know all the corners ɔmo ni baabi adada someone take action a it's so easy for them to do it ɛmrɛ ɛnyɛ de nkora ma ɔmo koraa yɛbɛsrɛ mbambɔfoɔ mpanimfoɔ bi na di ɔman anim a bɛduru baabi a yɛwɔ yi ɔmo bɔ ɔman no ho ban nti ɔman no ansɛe ɛna yɛn nso yɛabɛto ɛne atim nti adeɛ a ebitumi ayɛ de ama akyiri ma ne sɛ yɛn nso bɛgya ɔman no asomdwee mu na ɔmo abɛtake over ɛnhyɛ no nso sɛ bɛduru biribi no ahoɔden a mewɔ ɛnɛ ahoɔden a wɔwɔ nnɛ no ɛbɛkɔ fam ekodu saa bi na sɛ bibi si a wotumi ntum rika tumi nyɛ hwee nti yɛbɛsrɛ yɛn mpanimfoɔ sɛ yɛn mu binom kasa a yɛkasa of passion yɛwodie wɔ yɛn mu ne yɛde kasa ɛsan sɛ na nkasa si edu baabi a yɛduru yi kyɛw pɛ mu a deɛ sɛ yɛyɛ bia na galamsey yɛtu so sa no deɛ sɛ yɛyɛ bia ɛduru mpɛmpɛnsoɔ bi a ɛsɛ sɛ yɛ take action a ɛyɛ drastic action ɛyɛ action a ahoɔden paa bibi na ɛsi yɛ if there's no sacrifice there's no salvation if there's no sacrifice there will never be any salvation it is something must happen something really drastic the day must happen yɛde bɔ ɔman no ho ban anyɛ ne saa yɛne bɛbɛn ho so na yɛ too late anɔpɛ madam ase yɛtwa ho tia wɔ yɛba a bɛmegyafo ɛbɛba abɛtena ase na yɛdi nkɔmmɔ montwɛn yɛ
at the end. The Eban said the court will now have to look at whether the person was given the opportunity.
Awie yekwaya yaba sana medi kankan no Jesse na mehye no Black Queens ball omo bo African Cup of Nations wo Morocco enene nansa na ye ne Cape Verde for boy ama ye hye omo 2-0 enti wo chena kwasie ye ne Cameroon for no mo chemema ye ne omo na bebo enti ye nyina tumi ankostel sakablasa asabire behwe anka dede ye nyasam kotwa na so de bia meka Black Queens de kan ko World Cup answer Black Stars who World Cup kwan de aya na ye twa omaja nti bi dem se me hye Jesse na nti so hye bi ye tumi ankobɔ anyo omo so wo Morocco ho na minim afi no minim de me pese me kam cause sai afi we de chese oh enti minum ye de betumi ne se ye hye Jesse no Ghana ha na ye twitwa pictures wo na social media na nti omo form na mo shout oh Ghana for ye mo share oh na hye obu nkran oh Morocco ho na mo tumi a share Cameroon amayen na kyese omo kon kakra edu fa na so omo jekap na omo de ba ni nyina ye ya ko share mo airport na fe ma ye twa omo nyasa ai twa omo se efe na adwene so omo de ne bibia bebi ni no omo nya yi wo ho de a yen nwene wo mo ho na kwa yi ketokrekuri ne nkrofo no wo mo ye de ompena emre ye ni nkaso na kwesi nya ntachi ye ya ibinum se enye ye se enye no de mo ye ne no sa ye chin kwesi de na over to you aha na no pay ma me nchia me nuanom ngo na me fo nyina yi akase mienu na ekoso ba ko wo kwawu na ba ko nso wo peki nti na no pay wo mo ekokwawu no boko ready for mun kudu na peki fo nso yenso ye lie nti mo na mi fo nya no pay me mo achi na kakrakra ebeye ebeye mame nchia me mame baako mako wokumase yewura despite mame mako obatampa no pe me mo achi mito nka che me se urade adomo ho ye sanso na antipina man yewura for sapo ho kani sorry ne mame antipina man no pe me ma wachi me body am pese me bi diwate me de manu ana bi dia antisewa na fi ebusuafo na kani nyina market na ebusuafo ni nyina so anope e mo nyina chi e mu se bibia ye boko me ma me ba ko kuma sunyan antisewa nyame na ye urade wakanchi na egu ti me na mo he mi super agu me mu enti me busuafo ni nyina hyedin osunyan omu nyina mo bibia hyedin na opani osei biso sei sa ne frɛ no na busuafo nyina mo nyina hyedin na me mu se Ewurade wo ho ebe na anopai debedi en command se makosunyane de na me fasa ho kwan yi emfa entirin kwasem ema sunyane mahene ya gazette na sesei no o yo mahene a odi mu ankasa pa nti sunyane mahene anopai bo ahen kokko to so mienu anopai me mountain kwa ye nyina ye de ho de beta wachi na ma sunyane ma ye gina sunyane hema me no say aba de se ye nyina be ka bom ayi nipa baako afanu no bia e bia nkwa ma no kora no ye nyina ka bom in the interest of sunyane na sunyane emfa no to mapa emfra because sunyane die eyekuru a obi atena so a odu wadanse se eyekuru pa ya enti ena no pay mabodwafo aba na ansa na no prophetess Gladys ejikumaji eche na ewa woda nti bebia obi na yema tirinkwa pa na mame emma memma be baako ma Christy ono na oye kofare bai mika Christina du Lawson ona kofare bai de Majuda Praise Temple Universal kaswa anope memoachi musumi usi I am unstoppable ti unstoppable no eno na de be adwuma Daniel etimi ensanche ba kokopema duasa nti ma Christiano pay bia obia no memoachi me se bibia koso se boko mpa Ewurade ti ase ebeye wodi mame nkanfo nipa ya de osa yeyi ohun wo se kwani tutua no ma yesa bia na yayi ano ha ya bibia o frako ufi eno ano so na so sane aba ha bibia filling station opposite one overhead na so wo se na ho tutu se pa but say no say ya na ma no ma ye na so mugusu ana na jopa so no mo yes adwuma no enti ya momu ni adwuma nipa ya de osa yi omo hwema na nsa ya ma ye kan ho ma traffic ma ho enti adwuma ku eyesa no edomo ase pa edomo ase sanse ma traffic akofo no pe mi fa so no se no na dwokro mba ye adwuma enti ma eso fa no ayeboko kakra kama edomo ase pa ewie anope abejafo be kam se be hyase edi nkomo mi benkum so pe obo life papa mi bra penino no oyelo ni uracha so usu juana oyelo ni wabin wo lo mu pa national cathedral na oye wo mu lawyer eno no krasan ye chairman FOB ni eden ya friends of Baumia ayo ona sai chairman area nti ono owa ha ana de oka no ho so menua ewuma aha na mehunu baako aha telephone kra de abomi kwabra mi so mehunu amani bra wo yesa nye aha ye friend onunyafo David TD Von D ye mrasebe dwane de mama for wo twifo atimokwa abatu empesua so when DC mu ona bo akwaba Osan ye Pentecost ni ye elder. I will Pentecost. I say elder.
But
John so be coming so fi ha. Ye be sha se na ye di enkomo enchi bia. Lawyer Kwaba.
Yeah, near.
Na bibia boko.
Nyakopa.
Me dey hwase.
Omo mo hwa woni. Omo mo tie nyina.
Nyina da se pa. Brother honorable Ufi abeko ayi bia na.
a year does so constituency kakra. Me sister back a woman organizer or trifo enyina se ni wo ya wanyare wanyare yokoda ya ansori bia na odi efrimene ne yakra na chiri kra endra yakọ mrahye bedwem no ahomachi ne yapon ye anti ahomachi ne rise sinidi anti na mekasa me driver akokonzenza enyi anti ye mu ne yawo anope no mamma wo mu ene abusuafo nyina ya akọ na ye ba ko so atwefo price krom ho a ma abusuafo nyina ya akọ ene no endra na ye madam confidence sarampofo woman organizer of price the consensus woman organizer na woda mana woda papa sama me no ya friend semenchia oyi ne papa ma ne broso na otumfu nyankopon na mistress obekoso ehira no na menchia DC Isaac Yosin we adwuma pa won se odi wachija ne papa woda no wada
mpa
sanetie nti ogusu a we adwuma nyuma bebre na aba ye amambuo we no His Excellency John Dramani Mahama adwin papa onya yese ode 80% of the common fund beko district no eso aba power trifo kwa na mejiri se eso aba power ba bia nso anenti ma menchia trifo kwa himfufu nyina wo hwemie na ewurade ne yaboafo ebeyeye ebesi yie na ebesi yakra ani nipadua nso yie ichia mo nyina na pe damas
nyina jo so dodo enra enso na ambassador Victor Gbehu ai kuja na kwa yeka so opani na opani a ye Ghana na musi no man bi so ama Ghana gidin pa no ambassador Victor Gbehu we di free mu a enyeyi enti enra na ye amamre edija no kwan enti busheni nyina yo mu nyina hyeden pa wabeye bi waye bi waso man no papa nti wono so ye ma no na
ti quick one me tie Victor Gbehu na bakwasam no na utumu so obi a kanefo no no mu do man
papa
seriously no mu do man they sacrifice all and some besumo man na me pa bo no se wurade di sa honhom no bedum ye ni ayewo ye aba fresh voice si betimi asomo man nokre ani adwumadini yom nyamesrom uko America now dream America abakwasam ho a people worked to see the country where it is now and we must work for our country to develop the bia make say you sika wokrom ha resources are your ha no gold ni de keka ho no adoso se ye beye dwumaden anyamesoro ani no kuradie ka ho a anya bibia yedure na si yeduro ewurade ne yeboafo beye ye
lawyer and then answer ne nra apostle Kojosafo contempt no contempt ni adidi musa ne edu bibia ye we na asema me tia me ka contempt no contempt wan asem what ma me na na dikran sana mako ayiso ye di fa be 2-3 minutes bi din komofa adwasafo ni nuanom ensem ho na ya so mpan so abeka mensa ya so mpa lawyer ni sikase mu so oyobenfo enti ya wakọ aba
eja
bia boko
ya menadom pachos na so
adom so me ho ye pa
me champion for me no me shawa
mu nyina so eje wo so
eje wo so
mu nyina eje wo so ewie lawyer ye ka yes content there be enye content ene ye brofo na legal terms am use say injunction.
Application for injunction.
Anti sa injunction no say asemasi sorry na me say men kusie men ye me makwakoje sa injunction no se say me kwaje ye na chi no onipa no wasie ayayi no content we chi no
well said S party end up lawyer no kokoji
S party
na S party no just say nipa na ukoji tia no na o ma ukoji tia no o ma court bi am ka o ma say
okay
international court they say okay about 10 days grab by notice na for omnyina bra court na ya meka asemi they say the option ya amount indirectly option ya amount
there's a why na ye share ne so mfa the other party ne mra no why kwaje injunction
o serve order no ewo nipa kro no so na just say within 10 days na cha order na wu
okay
sa order na court na wu entini na cha the be say nipa so wo a ukoji order no so one san ko by notice bi o na so one ko bi o ma na just say nipa kro ntimi ya de na wo ka kire nse mema no
okay
so we know the na emu hakakra because nipa ba ko na maybe but contempt amafu kenyina aye say what disrespect and I
obu court
enimtia enye asem na ye beka no just obu court enimtia keke enti eno no say court dey find out we budu obeka say okay enye page ho na che say pachaw o ma kwa mo apachaw say okay ade we dey papa bi a say the buy na me ye na ntino me pachaw nti ye fa nchem ntino ye be ma kwa mo wa yesa but normally na court no say S party 10 days na na omo di mre hu se de ya backcourt ye nyina backcourt na
as afanu na backcourt
le ya rule say ya injunctive ya pese obeye ade ni kopim si bi di asem na wi eno do ko e de na just we book court na
nti apa enti na me to say ya me nko me kokoje injunction na S party na o kan won se me koje a eno no emuduro no nko ene se me no mienu ni nyina ye wo court ho court say hey anso we Agya Kwabena one obra pani lawyer Joanna mo bia mfa ne sanka nti de nyina court na ka kire ye nti se me fa kire kofa na se me book court na nim tia
pa nti court no de emra kire say at least 6 months there
because dem
but be a court because okay ne ko 2 months and so be bind o say okay say dey now ye menye bi na fe ya to aso dey asem no nti me feel say we dey egrofo na bu mra so mom dey court mra na say order na ye share no mabuso enti no up to friend say Jan Esquire say obaka so okay ne mekọ animu but me dey my advice kakra we zidi pegu awu
yeah
it is hard there na me ma unsie me ma onye yi no e cause too much problems in family affairs where Daddy Lumba
yeah
obi a watu dwom saa manfo asa nnwom saa ta fedu time papa ye we ya be on and second statue bi si bi na we say your friend say
team legal wife
na team odobroni no odobroni na dey na fe papa ye na ye say basa enti no mi dem feel say papa bi no ba wi ase eno abebo ne bra eno apane nyoma ena wo amwa no mana amobra bi eno okọ na odi agyago tokwa na ifrihi na eba
ono no hihye na de ko no okọ
agyago na uso odi kenkina na we ne ko say na we tutuo wo ha na e di asem ko a enti me dem advice to professor nipa no wu amoma ne ko da boko na mu nja na chi kwan pepepe papa ya we wu ya ye kasi akosie da restraining order wo ha makosie ni wa bobra wa bobra papa sanka ya boko ni mane ne nana no mu ni omo maka nyina e be hia ne na hwede ade na se fa ko si e ko hu si esuro se denyu e na ko basa intino me da be face lawyer no kra mema ne nkwankwaji contempt bi ya opposition for an international no resolve matter ne nkwa ne papa ni mu yesie na wi enya de yesan be tu no asan ba be sie biom the die is cast nti yankwa ni
Okay.
But then the two different ones. On notice, they are very powerful. And then just say, "What back court to me? I can't just."
You can't swim him.
You can't swim him.
I will call to them.
And they know the okay. They are lawyer. They do better 6 months.
Honorable one day. Muso edi echira.
No correct.
Me ya. It's so unim. Me ba bema. Papa can say me fan nche no. Ko doctor no.
Oh.
Oh sir.
Yes. Ka doctor me ba bema. Nti oyobi a osombo ma me.
Oni papa ben pa.
Yes, me bunu pa. Now unfortunately okoya we no nyina akwa kokoba. Lawyer tufu bi. We just say foot no one SCF and you say they could have done it better than the Ekwe.
Unim bibi.
There be.
The lawyer can you know. Me ditrum prakope. Na efitu amede ka ho no aye yenum ajanum ene enanum a yedi yankola be wiase na akoye se de yedo bisine bi. Hatching. It's a real I see a kind war high court. Na real no Kemia said the new man no bebre no de mabako. I ye kasem wo aigbe kasem no so mimi aigbe ni. Ye kasa ba ko ye kan se agi ajegbonwe ye oda onu yela e kire se bebi aponche pe no ana ode na de fita eto to be huna ponchi bi wo ho a ne fita wo ne trim bi wo ho a ne fita wo ne dua bi wo ne fita wo ne chi bebi aponchi pe na ode ne fita akọ nanso sanse wo na ode wo mu nyina be wi asenti ya na ye tie ase no mom ye kasa ne ye ni yo nka wo mum prakope aho a family will be successful when the members of the family, especially nuclear family, no. So mo hu say me yie die gina me nua so se me so me nuam na me nua nso aso me mu de ye nyina ya sore prakope busua ni bi wo ho a ba ye woni ayeyie won nyina bomu ayeyie prakope kakra no wo a won nyina ache ne pepepe ene dia wo ho papa be bobra wi ase bra boy no sabi ye mu bi mu ye bompa ye senke bitimi abom na asene sa enso ne bra wa bo no so japade dia waja bi wo ho edi mpapa nso waja bebre wo ho ene nti se dia lawyer kan ye no ne yi asenya bra o atututuo ni ade adwo asafo ayo obi ano omra hye bedwemu a menim no meni na ye adwuma wo committee ba akoso internal trade committee na oyo obi a adwo ampa sisie ono so onsisiu enti dani na eden obi a oyem ranim no nso de wa hwe a wonim de papa wonim de bone ene so de nansi ho a adwo de nansi ho de nanbesi ho enti ye mabusuafo nyina ya akọ na mom papa enhira bebre bi odi abewiase na benka Ghana man na nyuma odi abe nyina no mama nyuma ne ngu ukwa brochira Japan mamu ka ye friend Toyota ayo obidin no Mazda obidin no Nissan ye obidin enti ni nyina ye busua business na abeji wiase nyina fa menkoto sra ne se papa echi abusua be ka bom na busua hu ne se yinyina free eja baako na wiase ya mefebre bia de odi ba ye kura na akura yi na ye ne odi abeja ye ndie de hia ne se wa obepre be ye wo de na wonso wa pre bia ko enim na ochene bi ya kai wonso ani ti court ne ho injunction ne ade de se de papa kan ye ebi kura wo ho a ukodi expert injunction no restriction no ebia na believe na said so to me serve the other party ebia na one serve it has not come to his notice or her notice. How do you respect another that is not in your notice? No said the lawyer kan no lawyer mranim ne kase mu nhede nya duru bebre sa eti ahobra sim papa ni die nti eni die de ma papa nti enka ma etuo nkotwere bebi atwire ahwebe adwebrase brawo na yenkuye nim de we nim na dɔɔso sɛ de anuanom bɛka bom na hia sɛ de bɛtena na papa din bɛkɔsoro na hia na watimi waka medeɛ sɛ bio onyankopɔn agye na de yɛkɔ we kyine ne yɛkɔ ntɔkɔ a emfa hwɛ mma meda se menua
yaw papa ne kura bɛkɔ no ɔkwankwa mfa so ɔmo nkura no ɔkwa mo mfa so ɔmo mfa nkura no
ne nyinaa yɛ hyehyɛ papa to
ɔno na wahyɛ to sɛ monye me sei me ka me maame ka sɛ me kyerɛ ɔno ɔse sɛ ɔkɔ a kuroko sɛ ɛmfa ne sɛ baabi obɛwu obia no nsi no wɔ hɔ a ɛho hia sɛ ɛde kaa bɛfa na firi baabi ɔwuru sɛ dabi unfortunately baabi a ɛsisi no so no wuyɛ nti ɛboa yɛ paa
saa na tie kɔbra dɔn a bɛbɛ firi mu no ɔka kyerɛ me sɛ meba wo sɛ medɔw paa mewu a si dan foforɔ fa mehyɛ dan no mu asɛ ɔkɔ sɛ nti owu yɛ no mesi 3 bedroom house ɛde de hyɛ dan no mu asɛ saa dan kora me nan mu da mpo ɔbɛmpo agya nti deɛ ɔpɛ no
ɛne wayɛ ma papa ne ka sɛ sei na mewu a menni hɔ a monyɛ me na sɛ wobu ani gu so a na sɛ papa ne world papa no ne pɛ a ne yɛmfa sɛ ne sɔde hu ade anka ɔpɛ sɛ moyɛ no wobu ani gu so a ne sɛ obi so bɛka sɛ wamfa obu ama wagya na pɛ deɛ a ɔpɛ sɛ ɔyɛ
agya I think say by in same way one of our main clients Dr. Mohamed Chawa or Orani Hospital what as a morgue ewa inti ebe ye fafunu ye ko ho quarter I can be say busumi bia or the lawyer obi say ye man lawyer also like it's almost unbelievable like I thought I me busam say bi onipa kro no ko na funu ayetwe ho man so there yes or ye me client ka me engine crime to say it's such a common practice but apparently it is. It's a very, 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 very common practice. Say abusiafo konfunu ho, abusiafo train say bi obi a alcohol man so. In this particular case, I think Ira Von D's concluding statement is important to me. Make me akokota say and the same person no or your project be or one town. Ubet me akoka de opebia aje an ex party injunction. And no ye mini court obi ono akobo nkura che court no na court ne si oh dia wa be ka che me dia onja dia oye no for nadu no umbra court metrim di ntia oye dia oye no and no dia sebio the moment you meet a certain threshold court no be mouse typically that 10 days the bigger problem is nensa beka and it's become a practice say injunction no moko gino say election ya be gino ochna say demonstration ya be gino ochna ye ya be gino ochna ye no nipa na ye ntutu ye nyina awie
it's say a day before
so the intention of even the going for the injunction no say jumadie na wa hyehyɛ aboho ka say ni america no say funu a abusia for fa no aye ye ntutu akohan canopy etia aduane ka ne niam ne nyina nti etoda ya na abo fa no pusa yenya survey there usually my position is yenya survey there you've been brought to notice nti no din so obebu court na nimtia but mete say fa bi say o ma survey transitions and all of that sebio unimbra okofa afunu no unimbra okofa afunu no inti una o say una mpanyufo una o say ukoje injunction yawada say fiada na wa serve me that day no obefa afunu no enra unim
ampo
ena nipa kro na nkasa no so say we nya na serve na maybe our interview already so but unya serve na onim de court
na say bi no mo kasa se nya kasa ye de sa interlocutory injunction
interlocutory ni ye nyina ye wo case ni mu ena wo say me ntwentwen bibi so ansa na court na ba wie expert ni de ye mini court obi na wo wako without me akwaje injunction na afi na yes serve me afi na wasa me bam e be chire mu de nti a wasa me ye de me ye nti eja it has so many layers. Me assure say I join a lawyer. By the time I work so I know, it means she understands the risk. She's evaluated it with her lawyers, and on my head, I won't be quick to say there's contempt. I don't know the full fact. Me assure so many na be court, but empenyufo na ka ye nyina ye hu se sebi o nipa na papa na nkasa bako. And every lawyer here will tell you. Big estate asebi enkra gitum ese omobeye baako achechire a nko obia ombeto no obia enya amane obia because sebi bi ofia e broso now so you would see in so many times afanu pre we pe ahometisem and in the end it tanks legacies destroys things inti serenia besha abusiafo no say omo be kan bom because in kan bom prior there uyi ba akwa ebebu o kan bom a embu nti so omo be kan bom na ma chechire apagya ejuma na akwa nanim a ebebo afa no nim enu nyina
ade abako a yi bedwino osisi a ne se mpepie edu be bi ese ye pese ye madi dachi nti ye pressure be mo better life so better life ne be mo no bra ye ni abrese ye pese ye hyehyɛ ne ma no na mo so mo adwenko mo adwen na baby nti be wi ase no na dia me person kasemasi ye no ono no fo say wa trasa wa brosa nti no de se oye no nie nti ye bia ye nsamanse na Kwabena o de nsuyi fawe ai lawyer Joanna nso fawe ya fawe nso fawe nse na me Kwabena me she blaster jesi na wo se me fawe me ntia se tu ni se no so du ba bi a e ka ho bi e na e dey because kaneno nyama san sheda ni ho
eja ade ni de jande pakro na o be che ne nyoma no na normally nipa da sane bia no baby a unya onso oya omunyini omuhia moa ohia so bi be bia ma ne we ama no bi wo ha ne baba ko wo on your mind kra ofi no kra into no obviously so be che ne nyoma na sa nipa no be man ketu because the nyoma na ono ne dia what did they make an say enti no most of the time omo yo omo will na omo yo omo will bo eya omu ana say enyoma bi ekoso but the underlying principle no say me ya eti hey ye wo ye so ma me ni eya una chusu ma
david
Yakobo ne chusu ma me ma wo e na ye so papa nso ni wan ka bi ye so nuani we ni nyame na ahyehye it naturally when you uko gensi sa ade na nyame ahyehye na wonka ho bi na the fruit of ahwe ye research na hwe the moment abaya sa ade what life is
so no ye bebre
because like o person just Nyankopon ahyehye ade ni ye enso Nyankopon ese bibi o hyehye wi ahyehye ni ye pa enti no onya careful papa bi na wa ba wi ase no wa be bobra no wa penuoma and o say me the way my way me the way say suma do be ya no so obe respect it papa na ade ne ye ne dia no so why invest bi ono no why an investment no so me the way my way onim ni enti o the way my obi a bit say ayeda akoso obekaya some papa bi BMW papa ni we no see yemfa company no corporate body no yemfa hye ne ba ko nsa papa no odi hye ne ba nsa ne ba ne hwe company de hwe ni nuanom nyina mo bi a redraw because papa ni who say we
betimi aye
and betimi aye on na nim ne ma no enti no what you can do is say over respect o papa no you know na say bia bibi wo hobi akoso na ankoye bia na Nyankopon be hu mobo na fi wa correct your mama but see e ba be ku ntokwa ye court because ye papa wu and we ja ye nyoma and we pese ene dia dia eja encha
kwasi bo twegi ne so be kan sa
I think that with my growing practice, and this is not legal advice, but it's a general comment. I'm realizing that will crano maybe doing a trust is better, but that's a different conversation because I'm realizing that well no name moon some na deba no say be there if you put it in a trust it will probably be safer and better than say obe sikisa obe chichim. Because in Chichemono, at least in my short practice, I've seen a lot of fights, but ultimately trustee, not trustees, no, you're credible with that. I know there. I relatively no. Yeah, now
trust no. Trust no. The implications of the trust in the say, what do your man be shankrophobia insa? Now what who say?
What who say? That's the word.
Yeah. But the normal into trust no there. I may recommend ma minus no. Be an kwalano we di 15 and now we di 5 6 7. Let me say okay. And if I didn't set up a trust. But trust that was set in one and then transfer.
I guess that's the bigger question.
The bigger question to the new transfer is a Koran life in Yina.
That's so dependent.
Trust and you know, the Koran. 18 may recommend this at the said Yaokai. Open a corporate body.
Exactly.
I am very reputable.
Exactly the
point. Now, for what set the trust and now they are question.
Exactly the point.
G new man no the year.
Exactly the point.
A Golana India for my dear mom.
For the mom,
again, we are not here to talk about succession law.
Anyway, that's it. Question about Virginia and so can people communication team no sign can legal team no be can say kwesi akwaba. And they can't dress up for new union among some now with the BPC. Would you actually kakra based my baby and sign 90 now into the also cafe.
Media Machana Machia Abijafunia. Me say, Asem no means to me, shed in DH court to the NSA, but the Abba media, Nima, Abba News, ma, will be at and no be a matter. But I'm hoping, say, Bushia for Betty Martinase. Na omwetimi aka omasem me papa pani bi na tu me fo se hu se ebusuafo mienu ko a ya no ahwe di abeka because enche ombetima ka omho abom no ada ne third person and also say nkofo mienu asabi omatwempena da akontoko a no ahwe hu yi ti so meba court bi mu na omwache atade ba ko enti ebusuasem de eduru ho na ye hu senia ye besi atre ya adwen wo ho. But I'm very hopeful, say, the Ekosubia na impenifo wa kantanka abusuanim. Personally, kantanka impenifo ne bako or chairman dear law school. I'm aware say impenifo power abusuanim a emrepemu no megidi say omunim de wo so omoya ebema adwebre aba abusuanim. Minim say senior council can properties nintina ebia akobasa dia, but I'll add to their council kind and say me dey misusu ye mu ni say no property bia de be mo bia what ase no fama nipa kro say deed of gift na be ya na ye na fashion nipa kro sa wo kro ye deed of gift na membo nipa kro na mane ye twan wa hu say bebi a wedu no de wa ye mre a no wa bona mane so some years ago me ye deed of gift hu krata ndi intije because as I say well no enye your papa can take asemi nkwa. It's
it's very wise.
Very wise. It's a will on the land in some a court na boso because we will be a ibusuafo ne nte ho ase. I do contest it. Intino say ube free mu so ube basa so ube bobra ube ja legacy papa. Na afi ube free mu no na beda ne nsem bebre dey. I don't think say proper. Inti say oye pani na se wabusuafo dɔɔso ana ɔma dɔɔso a me de me susu ye mu ne se oti ase a property a person de ma so mesi ni fama na bɔkɔ what the money we anu aka kyerɛ ne se mi wo a wo na sie me minimum obi kura se ne opesi ye sie ne no watro wɔ ne will mu.
Yeah, but the family, I've seen one case where a family contested the personal declaration.
Okay.
And because the law says the body belongs to the family, we went back and forth.
Inti obi won more tiase no otimi frɛ ne busua panimfo e ka sɛ me ba we die ono ana mabrɛ me mogya ni atete no inti ne mi wu a me pɛ sɛ ono no odi anim na osie me inti de obɛka sɛ monye no montie no na monye ma me because ono na me ne di ho nkom. I think say no timi ma adwebrɛ kakraba because obi kra wo no ma ne papa tiase no ne papa nkasa so ne papa afiri mu na fe no ba bɛ kyerɛ sɛ ono no do ne papa chen enuanum nia nti everybody ni ma no no na enkosie nti eja we de me nka no do
business with them
ade ba ko a me you say wonim say
enterprise
ensemi bebe nyina no e bia nuanum ntam de anka omo hu the big omo nya say big deal bia o one chen so gum liga
paparazzi for
liga team wait so get bibi kakra team for no one kwa na ye the crowd jim for no eti omo wi one interesting thing is hwe ye that the lumba de be ye hwe so pa team legal wife team odobroni hwe omo fie o esom de otan de beto akosia se wa ene odobrodi ntam ene nkwada ni nyina ntam ana omo ti omba bi dwe omo enti bra wonu matwa ntoma na wonu so ye ensuo na wonu so ye billboard na wonu so tina won wo do no ma sem ntam na mo betena ba bi din hwebo enti adwa ni nuanom we de so metu kakra
kwabena do omo ayi na ase no me hu social media me eminim sai nyum no em said that's the first time me tie e wo ayi ase
mami ode nyuma
bro upo ya yo said
umpo ya yo said
and I felt say it is not really bringing it's not reconciliatory enough. Things like that, no. I think that we should just avoid it. After all, what will it bring? Maybe cry will be a yako hand is a brother to you no the other two. If you cry nipan no alcohol hand in nim say war but to sign you no but to the I think say you know I really only pan what are we fighting for?
You mess adwa safo mesra pa wo yo ba nu nyamfo pa
serious
yeti wudin wo wiase nyina mesra pa wo na wafa wo nuanum se wo ma wo nuanum hu se wo mo maame no nti se na ofia ebusia nse ena obema no so akofena mesra wo nso pa wo na ebe ma pani ese kokoba anuanum nyina ntam no beka so na ebusia pani miti hei mo nuanum ma panimfo mina me be ma pani nti so ma fa me so bunia pani nti wo so ye ne saa na adwa in play model role na wa akofena so play that fatherly role na senior brother role no abusia pani like role no na mo mienu nka motimum na o ma legacy a wagya wo ho no anjira the case wo yi ate yanim nti se yamfa ne se na adwa wo no nua ya ka bom nua nyina maka bom na ne kantanka de wa ye ho yi na for motumi expand no na aya I show man nyam onte ase ebi ohu na nso no bebi obia no de be jo de tirim ko bia na won na me kire ye wachi nso be kan fobo for ka se bi hwe Guinness obi na sha se ye obabi o odipa ko wo kwada da Heineken bi ye over 100 years no obi na ye wo kura bia so Holland o enne it's a generation onu wuye no de ba to aso we so wuye ne ba be to aso ato aso amene Heineken gina na so chense bia de ka bia nti muso munya bi samayen na mo am won che takara obujemfo no yesra mo
ko hwe batuma bi no na wonyai
muso mun kamo de mo ni bi na obi de na maba ya ase no anyway efesia na ya nko ya nsam so akwasi mama hye semfan furu so mo abre so na mama se nam tamakuru de no court me jeli no ene ho sam baby aduro no yese court appeal court say onye say asem na ba court no nso nse da nyinam na no nti no se ye ka se gina so de na akoto afiase a ebe yie nti mame no onko sense charges no nse da nyina so papa mo abre so na ye de asem no court Attorney General Godfrey Dame ena edi anim de koye sabre no enyina so am de koye no appeal court say enyina so no ensuo enyina mu na mo nim say ensuo enyina mu ana na mo nim
Agya Kwabena me dase
more 10 minutes
pacho yo mate me dase the dekan I think say senior okan Court of Appeal the more judgment aba the appeal in as much as obia anaso obi betime ne Court of Appeal na disagree no that remains a compelling judicial precedent. A court kesiye, we use Supreme Court if you are court a kesiye tosubium the Court of Appeal as an High Court. Inti say only court ni nya adwen kra na that is their court na kan na mebo amande lawyer foforo court otimi references our decision here abey. Now eja mate say amanfo pie raise concerns. The party MPP are raising concerns about the judgment. I think say primarily no to start with, we cannot isolate the case of judgment in Abano and the political undertones are we cannot isolate the two. Even though say I agree say judgment need a solely judiciary and as a Court of Appeal na do judgment but the two cases said nam Temakulu said not a politician and you're prosecuting and you're convicting until you cannot isolate politics from judgment in Abano. But I think also say prosecution did their case. Prosecution presenting the case. Follow case now prosecution for 7 witnesses, including the head of finance for Maslock, including the general manager for Obatampa Investment, and a number of witnesses are prosecution from. And I think say prosecution need there or any case. Nemo, the most important conversation was a have a case the court etia Madam said in Temakulu. Yedi kind. The prosecution allege say 500,000 Ghana cedis be a Maslock. Say or more the Koye investment, or Obatampa investment. You know. The Maslock chief executive officer at the time, Madam said in Temakulu. A throw letter koma Obatampa investment say or money or more terms, you know. Omunji or more terms into mean to more withdraw Maslock withdraw from the investment. Utie testimony in so general manager for Obatampa investment in the buyer now. O say Madam said na Temakulu this a letter ne buyer. O demand say sika na komo de buy investment no. On fan brand back so also refund this can in cash. Now Madam said na Temakulu according to the witness and the general manager for Obatampa investment no man persistent and consistent pressure. So on face sika in brand no. Nti sika no omo withdraw ne cash. And odiko shia maame no wo bacho na Total filling station and ode maame ne na onu kura na okukuru scan disi maame ne Land-Cruiser boot and maame ne de scan coil. That is what the witness said in cross examination. Now later no witness ne san ka say omo demanding receipt from maame ne to acknowledge say indeed ne nsa kan scan back maame ne ye receipt or ye receipt no and or ye receipt na or sign receipt in so. That was with the Obatampa investment. The second one had to do with Kantamanto fire victims Sikebia and Wasanke and also about 523,000 Ghana cedis or so. Say sometime in 2014-2015 Kantamanto share and a president Chaska was a Maslock no. Yeah, the boy said be business and getting a gem for Makola for any idea. Inti President Cheska said, Yen Fanko bois or moi or mujectory ashe. According to the prosecution, in Crawford no more intended some comobe benefited from Sesikano. Sesikano anko. Na Mammy said the name Temakulu, a divertis cano, Ediko gu account to be a name the intended account for the money. In the prosecution's understanding, sir, no amount to stealing because in law, you can say stealing. One of the essential elements also proving is say adiano you be there, and I will know adiano one fact crime partial, and what depriving the patrono of Sadiano, and I say will be adia you be there now. What fast adiano, one fact crime partial, what fast adiano, a free the patrono in some. In Timbrano a charge for stealing, say we are or my nisika of 500 and something thousand Ghana cedis. Yet also miensa. A binding sound born a quedu say or my authorization for some 61 1 million Ghana cedis. Na sa authorization no ma no amfa the necessary processes so. In normal ni susu yemu no. Sa ade no ye no amounted to causing financial loss to the state. If we say wama infaswo amba sa oman sika 61.1 million Ghana cedis no. Enti ofa o kan sem we ni aboma oman ni bo ne kwadu for about 70 count. O ka sika ni abom 78 count. O ka sika ni aboma sika ni amounted to about 90 million Ghana cedis. Prosecution as required by law. So now kind of led by Agya Kwabena. I think at that time no a deputy attorney general. The case no court prosecute on the case. Now let's state it clearly. Say the prosecution doesn't have the power to convict anybody. All the prosecution can do is to present on the case no to court. Prosecution presenting the case that's what we are. Defense no akonya say obe file an application for submission of no case. IHSF, the prosecution has not been able to prove their case beyond reasonable doubt. Into no court no enche say my defense no kura no ombie nasem anase mane embe church ono nso ni nsem. Enti after prosecution ni close your case. In fact before prosecution ni be close your case, said nam trial and started sometime in 2019. Sometime in 2020 before prosecution ni be closing the case no. Na odeba court say ne ho fa no person kwa ma no ne no kwaje ayaresa and that judge ne man ne kwan justice if you say wa botwe man ne kwan say onko no mbra no man I think 2 months or say 1 month. That time na madam said na mtemakulu no on bail okoye no wan ba biem Ori Alex mode in a standing surety. I think say no so be fine same P by any ade
pacho twene ko ekire kakra answer na oba ko abrochire no na ya tutu said na mtemakulu anno ewia na wo court ana
in terms of say obey ye be cross examine o dey be say na make no say prosecution in the yen case and the there be some time na prosecution ni gusu yen case pacha
she no kra won bi yen case say ye be tutu na no mpo
there be and I even post say
I just want to be sure I want to follow you
I understand matewa they can say and I even kra ni mbra mu no mbra bia nhye say accused person no obe mount witness box no. It is within accused person, right? Say opa obe mounted witness box no opa all mounted one mounted witness box no so ama ambo ni nkro the friend examination in chief na o prosecution no nya kwan cross examine no ha enti no time of prosecution ni the case na ma me ne say ne ho fa no no two kwan o two kwan no wantima mba biem ye nia ye nim de enti a wantima mba biem and a prosecution ni closing the case and a judge no order say defense ni bi o mo case defense ne so eye omo nsema cross examine witnesses na prosecution no from no in fact before our witnesses ne defense ne be omo case no say prosecution no the witnesses ne be more examination in chief defense no so wo ho kwan so no so be cross examine defense ne so yes an yama ni na madam said na mtemaklo obi in the case ne ade na course wa the tintin ni tietie mu an say sometime in 2024 court no convicted no say no sentence is uncle there fiase for 10 years. Court ne decision ne buy and the judgment ne buy and no file appeal in that same 2024 because CI19 and even yambra na e Ghana ha na kana the law is say judgment ba na convict you be within 1 month say obe file notice of appeal and I say who intention say obe appeal I was say within 1 month no utimi ye onyomania ha intino or file appeal but from what we know any and statement the prosecutor at the time the deputy attorney general and the bar out no subsequently obe attorney general and the bar say omo file appeal no omo anya hwe and omo kodai after omo file appeal no because under ne penso no nothing came to his attention say madam said na temaklo ebia wa file appeal na wa yesi wa start invoke processes no wa anya hwe aban sisa ye no 2025 I think February 2025 from the records of court we know say that time na the lawyers eko siki the leave of the court of appeal say omo pese omo file omo written submissions and a court of appeal ne ma omo kwan
and in fact I must say yeah now from 2024 now or yeah appeal no next appeal no in 2024
or filing notice of appeal in 2024
May 9th
May 9th okay 2024 and since May 9th 2024 no sa yanko court anko kan ho asemu bia to say
there be and I say na maka no the ntia e wo misusu yem from a legal perspective of filing an application in 2024 no was to ensure say na be ya an application and statute bag because after 1 month no this be and court na court no man leave say oh considering the circumstances no ubetimi a file in February and the lawyers ekoji leave say person file omo written submission then omo koji leave ni say the period within which I was come file omo written submissions na etwem but say etwem process bi a was file wo court etwem na court and they see wo court bia na say work as a court and o share court no ma leave because of some circumstances now my reasons court need me ma leave court no grant omo leave and omo file omo written submissions from the records we know that Attorney General and so responded to the written submissions now appellant in the written submissions now in Attorney General the first response now you who say or catcher court and they say some document be record of proceedings ni be incomplete and that or more rely on the notes of the prosecution now subsequent look at proceedings now indeed court and rectify say there na Attorney General ni raise and a court and order once usually ni say okoye appeal no I was say or transmitted record of proceedings no from high court to court of appeal so the court of appeal ni the trial no into proceedings ni ya no I was say
kukuru ni da come appeal court
say na be ya appeal court of appeal for no so be hwem one by one it's prosecution it say omo record of proceedings no omo one e wo before the court no incomplete but court no rectify subsequently I think May 5th or so order the registry of the court no so omo benya the omo no more proper custody say omo complete document ni ambra but from what we also know no omo the complete document ni buy no the Attorney General say aban Attorney General no and file supplementary written submissions didn't America say and say once the first written submission of file here no ono aka wo say or file based on omo note our prosecutors no aye subsequently court and say okay document ni and yen rectify any ni it will second document ni exhibit ni ordinarily law mbrabi and show but ordinarily if you want to make a compelling case you have to file a supplementary written submission say based on document na about to attention say from what we know now the Attorney General and yes sir fast forward and a court and the judgment aba say or evaluate proceedings ni nia trial court and conduct ye ni nia no prosecution intimate prove your case beyond reasonable doubt and that judge na misdirected ho say o push evidential burden na wo prosecution so e di akwakogu accuse ne so nti eno no sa no na say judge no wa err in law what they say the judge has erred in law nti consequently no almost set aside conviction and the sentence when a court will court. Now, you the politics of the matter.
But what they are saying the politics of the matter also. You share 500 million Ghana cedis now of the coin. 500,000 Ghana cedis now of the coin. Also pay 24% interest. And bank and say move to. It's move from camera. You them say okwan fa so transmit e disika to account ni mu no say me disika no am through check so me say me dey brewa for evidential purposes intino me dey ma through check na sa balance wo ma anya ne sa court abatampa for na anya ne sa and no mo disika ne bre no but according to high appeal court no let it be sent pay ya mame no say mame say
receipt
be or pay interest be say pay obatampa for no omo de mame sika nyina kwakoma no nti omo ne mame ka na fe eba ne say bio na ya mame send letter kwese mo fa me interest mre me letter na buy ya I say mamina sign say ni interest no so say one wo ka wo ni sika nyina kokoma na e ba ne say na letter for san ba ye say me interest bi o say mo de mame enti anu ade ba ko a appeal court ni gina so kan say so bo se mo ni mame ne ka mo de sika nyina kokoma na wi a sa appeal sorry sa interest letter no efiri hi enti na wo so tokuru bi da ho a wo ka so gina so de ebu na ten a nshada anya yi papa ba ko so mo san kan me bisa ni nyina sana ba betu nya kwan ayayi ene se omo ye so be training bi e de ama enkrofo bi
85,300 people
be training bi se sa training na be ye no ye no so be training na ye be ye yaw ye be ye kwasi ye be ye lawyer ye be obi ye training ti no anya hwe no e se wo ma ye training won anase ye se be training won no e ba be dia dance ye se okaso we training yen na so wama okaso be training yen nyina na so training pe tu pe sa dance no so no amma e wo court ho nti no so okaso nipa so ku training na so anyo bia be dia dance se wo training yo so wan training no e no okaso ono meyi no ho ano a enye ye e no so tosini ana kantama to die woni se sa niema no sinto bi koso e wo the then attorney general na adwuma o ye mu enu nti de bia court be to gina so de to the sana monana
me I don't agree say sinto because attorney general because attorney general and I'm sure say in his best understanding of the case and the evidence available to him and or they put two in the docket together and or the court nti no ono ni susu ye mu no or prosecuting the case no nya conviction. I am very sure say if the attorney general did a sloppy job at the time anka court no endorsing a sloppy job no but nipa no appeal your as of right nipa na appeal trial court ni decision trial court of appeal no say trial court no say ni wan consider enti no nipa na was say ye jan man ko fie your court of appeal decision say na me kan court of appeal no obro high court no so the decision in as much as we may all disagree with it and I say in as much as I may say I think that the prosecution did a very thorough job. The Court of Appeal needed a decision about, and that remains a compelling judicial precedent and a compelling position of the law. In teenager, and I think say decision about
okay.
But send an American, what share the politics of it? I buy way I buy or mobile, you know. Answer no mobile background, almost a mobile be a friend operation recover all the loot. Yen ya jitum so be ebe som Ghana na se wan fa kwan papa so na so de nsa bo Ghana sika mu a e wo so man nitimi gye ne sika because he here sika de aye ne oma pi to mo di ora ne baaye no yenya yesusu emu no so ora de e ya ade aba betwa afanu ni nia but abayi baaye of 2025 enko noli prose kwan enko a omo nkrofo no mo court a abayi na koyi omo asem free court enko a e be ya 10. The only prosecuted cases attorney general na filing about 10 cases are end of NDC for no mujina court ebi ni koko board asemi Ras Steven Opunini Seidu Agongo omo asemi attorney general ne ba ye na wa year free court say wa akwetia a discharge omo nkofie ofa Collins Dawuda Segleme housing project here about $200 million and also no ojina court aban yi ba ya wa year assembly free court say Ora Collins Dawuda enko Collins Dawuda honorable NDC MP ebiem ofa Pandete Siama the current Bank of Ghana governor ono so near the Nick Gina court for some $61 million banking sector na ho beba eba nsmp no eno so attorney general ne say we yi asem ne free ho onko the party ni ebiem ofa ambulance asemi ane no kra na wa appeal I think say the trial court no yi eno nso obaaye no otwifiri ho
court ne de yi be no ye
trial say omoko appeal omobaaye no na attorney general no say of file processes been eno so or withdraw asem no a free court and a number of cases attorney general na akwa withdraw enti kan asem ni ni aboma media from a political perspective me who say madam said the name Temakulu sanka abindada no entime nwie prosecution no insecure the conviction anka trial ni busu koso a head the akoso ni nia it is clear san kono kra ni case na nko me file no le process kwa
yen hwe bibi wo ha should we look at the political angle of it and as a legal angle of it na se ye di adwuma mra kwan a ye fa so di asem na se ye di ye hwe e de kasa anase political angle na se ye fa because se yen de sa ebema akwese ayamanso but the reality na e bi so a until you share the legal aspect of the case.
There is the politics of it because you have an attorney general by and for original trial near we withdraw more 73 court and not the political opponent akwako jina court. If we say we are recovering the loot, allow the judicial process to go on. At the end of the day, no say court ne ka say nipa ne hu so madam said na mtema court ne ka say ne hu so he said ne hu so enti no uba ba mu na say wo de onkofo a standard trial a mu nia ka mu sika ni boma e close to about $10 billion na waka so mu nia mu nkofie wa withdraw mu charges ne say adanse eni hu nti no omu nkofie no it raises political eyebrows and it raises the perception say what the prosecution no ade a what they victimize political opponent because by the way you nkofo nia akofie na abkofo mo serve wa bandada mu no odi omo aba be gina court na omo de wo say o recover omo loot meanwhile nkofo ni bi nso we standing court for the same loot
obi baka say 8 years wo bobo mpanifo bi din kokobot Dr. Puni Sagremedie Collins Dauda TV ene wo mo a aika ka ni nyina no 8 years ifie nwotwe we dey find say first for year no crowd yanya bibia mpo a second year but 7 years yet when the conviction that you say asam or say justice delayed is justice denied say when you so ye nyina so mu dupa say kwofo na di bone na ampa date na di embritin sa ye tumi anya conviction
ye di kan ye nyani nia na 7 years said na mtema kro asema ye ke
me ka de bi 7 years
e bi one me started 2019 into no nyani nia na within that time frame they toss me you know I agree with you say justice delayed is justice denied however this is the freedom of an accused person na ye kan ho asemi I don't think say any court or any prosecutor should be in an ambulance mode or in an ambulance haste say ye per se ye wi obi asem ten near the no to afiase people na was so affording the right and a year also didi na asem and now me no work say MPP appointees on Mujina court me come back legal team even in the legal vacation the court is expecting say ye beba court even in the legal vacation are you serious until what Chief Justice lawyer they call holiday judge they so call holiday
okay
and usually it is in civil matters crano and but no crano it is with the consent of the lawyers say be a mobeji atumu say we be a but in a high profile criminal case anybody can correct me this is the first time me who say and I met to say in a high profile case
okay
yama warrant to judge be say umbra number tena say legal vacation there CI 47 they recognize it CI 19 Court of Appeal procedures recognize it yambra they recognize it criminal legal vacation they will say lawyers court no by a year they say oral prosecutions need there they are going to be heard during the legal vacation then it raises the suspicion say Agya Kwabena it is more or less of politics than law
because me samba osubio ona mo one day and then na momo baye no no prosecute man no prosecute masi say na kwada akura na mo no ade friend no prosecute na yemfa ntoto ewra se nam tamakro die yi hu enhwe say what say judges in some in some be kura wo ho a meaning say sika ni be kura wo ho a anyo no tua ye omutua after ono eni ho na say mampeni abandada we abreso eno mutua sika ni bi ba mutua sika ni na sa abreso nyina no eho asotwe ono na woje mi ho sika no so yetua no wo abanya na onye na aban mu wotie nsam se de akoba ne nasefo ya wo mo abeso ye so bobo mo say mo a clear agent mo no responsible asa ama se edu ba bia edri ma mi ti osima bi
Kwabena semadu mebo modern semetimi eyusu semadu wahu ade mabra ba mi boy mi ye nipa de fumu wo me ho nanso ade a eye papa no mehwɛ sɛ an ɛyɛ papa adeɛ a ɛyɛ bɔne no mehwɛ sɛ ɛyɛ bɔne it should not matter where you stand politically nti no sɛ yɛde asɛm akɔto obi so ne yɛde no akɔgyina abɛn na aban kɔɔdu bɔni yɛ ɔno na bɔ kwadu ɛmi yɛde nipa akɔgyina hɔ ɛhwɛhwɛ krataa mu ase adeɛ yɛkɔ anim a yɛbɛgu yɛn anim ase yɛbɛsɛn aban sika kwa ɛfiri sɛ yɛmema so no ɛmu nyɛ duru sɛ nipa no yɛbɛtumi anya no nti asɛm no pam no otwa no yɛntwa so pɔtɔ kasa mu yɛfrɛ no knowledge prosecua ne yɛtwa so a na me vondi a meti hei yɛ a menya attorney general me prosecute na wobɛbisa sɛ adɛn na asɛm a prosecutor ɔyɛ aban prosecutor attorney general de kɔto aban court no wɔhwehwɛ mu a sɛ wei no yɛkɔ yɛ anim a ɛnyɛ yie ɛno nti yɛntwa so no na meyi ano a anhwɛ a na bɛntumi anyɛ ano yie ɛtɔ so mmienu ɛwɔ yɛ Ghana mmarapɔn mu no knowledge prosecua is allowed ɛnyɛ bɔne ɛyɛ adeɛ a mmarama ho kwan sɛ ɛtumi kɔ so nti ɛno no sɛ nkɛyɛ yɛ na ɛyɛ bɔne ɛtia yɛ mmara a nkɛmɛka ho asɛm nanso ɛntia yɛ mmara kwan biara so yɛmfa no nto nkyɛn yɛmmra sɛde nam tamakuro asɛm yi so wɔn sɛ me nua akasa no bebisa ne sɛ ɛberɛ a na sɛde nam tamakuro ɛbɛtu kwan kɔ abrɛkyerɛ sɛ ne ho doodo no na court na nya ho kwan atoto n'ano anaa na saa berɛ no na kwadu no kora nyanya mmɔ wieyɛ ɛna maame no ɔfrɛ ɔman mu si wɔkɔhwɛ ne ho ɔkɔhwɛ ne ho ayarehwɛ ɛno no yɛ ade baako a sɛ sɛ yɛn nyinaa yɛgye tum na ɛda hɔ ɛni nti no kwadu a yɛde abɔ sɛd nam tamakuro nyinaa ɔbaatampa deɛ yɛ ɔkaayɛ sɛ ayi sika wɔ Maslok de kɔmaa wɔ mo na Maslok maame kaa sɛ sɛdeɛ mo yɛ sika no nsi ho ampɛ sɛ mo de se ho ne ayi no mɛmpɛ mo nsɛm fa sika no mmra ɛfrɛ ne sɛ Maslok ɔno kyerɛ sɛ wɔsesa saa sika puduo no nyinaa gu Ghana must go mu montie me yɛ ahobrɛase ne anidie mu hwɛ wonim ɛtɔ de bi a ɛtua wo nyanko a wofii sɛ ɛtua dua nso nyɛ dua ne tua o onipa ne tua no wo se sika puduo nyinaa sesa ne nyinaa de gu Ghana must go mu ana so a ne dɛkyɛ na wo a wobɛtam ɛyɛ ana wode kɔto maame kaa mu total ana maame ne drive yɛ huu
maame ne kura nyi bi ama ne sɛ ɔfa faka
maame ne mpo afa bi ama no so anyi ntɔfo a ana maame ne drive lawyer mo tie me yie o ana maame ne drive yɛ huu no ɔde sika no kɔɔyɛ ɔbaatampa yɛ bank meboa savings and loan papa yi a wɔka n'asɛm yi obi asɛbi wankɔ school kura wɔawie degree esua nyansa nim sɛdeɛ yɛ move sika ɛnim sɛ sika ɛti saa no a evidence sɛ ɛba ho no it must be done through bank transfer or check for evidence sake wɔn no bɛka kyerɛ yɛn sɛ oh, hold on. Don't go there. I know what you want to do. Don't go there.
That's a papa you can say, oh, interject. That means me interjecting. No person would say, Sika itua by cash.
No. I've never said so. I've never said so. We're talking about the circumstances under which you are returning the money and the kind of money you are returning from one institution to the other, and you had the guts to tell us, say, my minister says, Ghana must go, mu. Not your personal money, my many personal money, institutional money to institutional money. Now, what to me did to Musi says, go, Ghana must go, mu. And a swas candidate, ana maame ne gye sika no drive kɔɔ asɛm wo na adwoma na asɛm yɛ ka kyerɛ ɔbɛgye
na sɛ maame ne sɛ fam sika brɛ me sika no de brɛ me no yɛnhwɛ in the first place
no Kwabena listen
ɔde sika ne kɔkɔma abantampafoɔ no metie ɔde kɔma abantampafoɔ no yɛmi sɛ ɔno so de Ghana must go mu na ɛkɔɔyɛ anaasɛ ɔde ma mo through check
God
na kɛsɛ yɛtumi yɛhwɛ fi
ɛyɛ a metu nnwom bi sɛ mewɔ Jesus a ɔte me mo mewɔ Jesus a ɔte me mo
honorable for you
wura ne no mɛsom no
Numi to ma sɛde nam tema kra
honorable for you
o tu ni ma sɛde nam tema kra
baby ayɛ free fruit here no ɛhɔ ne yɛ free ɛsaneɛ wote ase maame ne nam kwan bɛɛ so na ɔde sika ne maa mo wɔsisa sika no go Ghana must go mu ɛna so abrɛ ɔbaatampa anaa na sii dɛn na ɔde ɔsisa go Ghana must go mu ɛna so abrɛ maame wɔ gbatwo na total filling station ɛnyɛ Maslock office mpo the man must be prosecuted for that.
na when the case we share no bacho now
hold on that is his claim. Again, Sedinam Maklo was not interrogated to determine whether that statement was right or not. He was convicted in absentia. Menuyanum, siyakasa jaila. You would not wish that for even the worst of the worst enemies that you ever have. Mami wa ma, ewo kunu, ewo ebusuya. Me kɔhwɛ me ho ayarehwɛ na maba na obi anya ho kwan kɔkeka nsɛm ne egu hɔ nyinaa de agu kɔɔto ne yɛtumi de na akɔtum abrawo ni hɔ ne yɛpɛ sɛ yɛbɔ nsɛm asa nkurɔfoɔ yi that financial practicer an institution like Obatampa na ne manager timi yi sika gu bank mu Ghana must go mu aso de kɔma another institution ɛyɛ Maslock no wetimi de akɔma individual our total filling station claimed without any authentication any evidence to prove that no that man must be prosecuted ɛno de agya no hɔ ana wɔpɛ sɛ kasa na maame no wanya kwampo nyina no anka sɛ an de de to me so yɛ nokorɛ ana ɛnyɛ nokorɛ no ya try na absential na ya pronounce ne guilty ni yɛ de na akɔtum no watena hɔ saa na mfie du aba ni yɛ gya ne saa ɛne yɛ moral aspect of the matter yɛmfa nto nkyɛn mmram kakra yɛka na mmerapɔn no article 137 clause 2 ɛma ho kwan sɛ obi biara court di emuaya bɛba wɔ wasɛm ho a wonye ntom no wotumi kɔdan court a ɛwɔ soro ɛsen court a ɛdi asɛm no muayɛ ɛdi aba no bɛsɛ meka ne twi sɛ de obi abɛti ase ambrase mu ɛni nti no the right to appeal is available to any individual as a Ghanaian. And the law guarantee that right without any ambiguity whatsoever at all. Emranama ho kwan se si e di asam bi diu na asam no wo fi se yamfa ni wo yie emrama ho kwan se wotumi kodan court a asosene court a e di asam no emu a ya ba wonyi ntum no. Inti said nam tamaklo a lawyer for no yedi asam no aba ya moaya na anya wo mo den pe and wo mo file a notice of appeal again banya nti say makinkan letter bi a former attorney general Jakpa ni nyankwi Godfrey Dami ana wo srese Godfrey Dami atro letter bi me hu say bra no onu ya attorney general no we hu say omo file any notice of appeal we hu unfortunately it is not the duty of the judgment debtors lawyers to serve the Attorney General of any notice of appeal. It is the duty of the court through the court bailiff to do that service. So man, yeah, want to make my contracted and I'm cloning the lawyer for say, man file any notice of appeal. That must be established. Afi, so we can kind judgment na abanwa from appeal court na. We do upper can from page 80. Can from page 80. Na de ba bedru be 1995 thereabout. Na wo be hu ensemo a appeal court no etutu egu fam no we bisa won say ei na yam hihie be ni wotam ma mi we akotum saa keke wabra mra bia mo de amoabo ne kwadu say wa ye ho bra mpo otie in our evidence act 1975C unim 1902C unim. It is not the accused's responsibility to prove that he or she is guilty or not. It is the prosecution's responsibility to demonstrate why you think the accused person is guilty. I did walk law school first year pay your bachelor. Intime a me nya lawyer ni impo minimum.
Say yenti fa say we say e bia you say Agya Kwabena wa wi asu special asu obi say mawia do say mawia no ono na so kire kwan hu say obekire wi say na mete ha na bi so ye nwa na owura ha na be fa me phone na me de me so camera no na bi si no to ba nyina na mehwe no na ofo nso no nwa na de fa no ode ko tia me ko no no kakra nsa na ode ko nti evidence ni video na me twa no eno ni
but this is now
so ko ba se won twa video no kasa me on of no fight na se me make say nyame na me fa ya
onim de enti aga na mra onim de enti aga na mra no e di sa ade na be hye ho no kire se onipatrimu odin onipatrimu osum
ntwaso nti
wo betimi atwa asem agu osu a wuyi wa no hwe enye yie ene se wo di asem to nipa no su a wo di asem na to ne so no kire akwan a wo fi se de wo di ato no so ya nokre na wonya ema nipa na wo di asem na ato no so no so ono na nkotwitwa nyi ne ho wo ti asem na meka na se enti Ghana mbra ne da hokrojen na so sa wo hwe tamakro de ya de abeyi a kamia ye se ye de asem ne nyina gu tamakro so no yenya na katamakro ankasa metwitwa nyi ne ho se nya nokre o kan se mmeram sa so a ahobrasie mo judge enye yesa o yesa na Ghana mbra no ekere no aninti no appeal no ekere se asema ye de adi sednam tamakulo no enye asam papa na matisa Attorney General Dominic Yini mi amebra pani wa kere se opeso okọ court batan kese no mu Supreme Court ono nso emrama no ho kwan say wotimi ko Supreme Court akọ challenge the verdict of the appeal court. But listen, you see, you need to trace some things and see whether or not the genuine backing or whether it's going to be fruitful or not. The appeal court judgment was unanimous. Judge Baku, Mienu, Miensa, and you know, this is a high profile case because it has some indirect political undertone. Because an indirect, asemna abano, and your politics. But you see, the individual involved have some political affiliations. And intino, uka, ebiani enu politics, ebenya political ansu obi. And it is judge for better some way sua. Womba domu suko ye.
said the Abaya will be in call uncle Casse, say, party be one Bermuntina judge in the person of Cassa say. And until they demonstrated and actually unveiled all their professionalism to give fidelity to the law in adjudicating and pronouncing judgment on these matters. What you are saying, I can say. One in the warm share who now almost share was so cool, no? Nina di go up on so. And the year Juma should share near my can tell me say, will be uncle for judgment come from page 80, Urbano. In some more can year, I woman in Arjun called Bencro. See, yen said Nam Tamoklo. The judgment to the man was high court, no. And Famra Kwanso Papa now didn't go to my ye unanimously, no. I wonder how Supreme Court would.
But
it is the right of the Attorney General to go to court.
And what thing I can't say, because he can't be about that 500,000.
No, I know, yes.
Say, can't require no. Judge the phone can say. What's the discussing in our community panevi? After Carton or Trap can say more interest in Emrano. I know what see Kwabena enter them. Enter make us a son or mocha. A son say yes, so I dance a farm mamma castle or trainee and as one trainee or castle training for 5,000. 2,000 enter make us say. I told you the car or the Sunday making a big room. Now can be a Supreme Court to make gymnastics. But that's say, wow, enter make us a neighbor. Maybe I'm about your neighbor. Supreme Court it does not take evidence on cases. The Supreme Court want to look at the legalities and the laws that were applied in determining the case at the lower court whether it is just. Who will evidence be adduced? A high court now be adducing those evidence. But if you do not have those evidence and you do not adduce those evidence at the high court, you don't expect the Supreme Court to give you the platform to adduce those evidence. Okay. These are law. These are two minutes. Question say mo ye
we are also maybe 2 minutes now because on number 1 did because on the 5 minutes to nyom did the 5 minutes to nyom
ma for this mama o se mo ye mo claim Crawford do no so e come me
but that's
1 minute per
metimi aka
mesa for rounds for full team
me din kan aka kire o say ade a enye no na enye ade a enye na eye wo di asem to court na asem na ya to court no enye a ya to twene ma ne yeye se ayeye a ye de ko nani ma ne yeye ade a enye no enye
na o lawyer Joanna ya hwe wotie rule here by ye wo rule here by ye ya what me misa ane address da bi na fe misa question akasa apiko gina say o si ye no we sigina say Mami said Natamako, decision according to take your people taking it. Say, Mami said Nataku, why on your bonnet crana, why a bonnet and a sonia bonnet, why a bonnet and a sonia bonnet, possibly see me who answer me question.
I don't know, Bisa. Your court I can no copy the best audience. The best mechanic say. Ye could sema. Prosecution no the right, so or the president in the case. In fact, you can say. It is a prosecution or the case ba. It is so no proof. Defendant in the what pa obebem one pensua obebem. Minti na man kwan say the prosecution ni can answer me nyina wi na so close to the case. Obetimi file it said menu e kan
submission of no case.
Submission of no case. But the court didn't decide say you have a case to answer because we are submission now. Case to us, and I'm saying I'm case here. The lawyers were in court. Yes. Year cross-examination. Yes. Year cross-examination. The trial went on. Yeah. The facts said no, it's neither here nor there. Great. There was a proper trial. So Yarena so knew na say court the field said the excuse that she's giving and yet enough for the courts to curtail their processes now. The court will continue. The issues now mean we air can. Yes, on your lawyer need it, but also all can be. That's fine. ɛsɛ ohun sɛ obi a yafa ne sɛ ɔnkɔnkɔ yɛ adwuma wɔ public office mmra eti na ɔte hɔ ɛnyɛ private sector mmra no sɛ bandi yɛ nyinaa eti sɛ wo na wo kɔkɔ sɛ nkurɔfoɔ yɛde yɛ sika akɔma wei sɛ fine interest ne nyɛ nti ma redraw mo fɛ yɛ sika mmerɛ nti the process na sika ne kɔɛ no saa process na sika no bɛba for record purposes sɛ sika no aba it appears say there was no record of sika no ever back so sika no ama back the nature say between ɔno ɛne nkurɔfoɔ na ɔmo gye sika no nkurɔfoɔ no de ɔmo aba court prosecution de ɔmo aba court ma ɔmo aba testify ɛwɔ so ɔno nso ba na ɔbɛ show the evidence
say bi sika me saka
wama amɛyɛ saa deɛ nti you president court of high court o pese den no mo yɛ if the matter meeting ade ɛyɛ nationalistic o me fan the party sir because political joining the political party they have a constitutional right but it should not interfere in ade na ɛbɔ nyinaa ho ban
ayɛ mmra no
de gyina ho say the reason why you want Ghana is in Ghana and you say because the way who offensive waiting you want Ghana mmra na establish Ghana it's in your constitution it's constitution ɛsi edi so ko di public office adwuma mmra wo ho so ofa so ɛnya emotional it is a mmra no when timi anim mmra no so na asɛmba yes so when timi anim mmra no so na sɛ ɛfɛ ne sɛn kaba na just work also financial loss sika so move sika a wo de kɔ baabi a yɛntimi hu de ɔde kɔ ya ɔmo yɛ entitled so ɔmo ka sɛ money laundering process of crime iti no me de sɛ de me ti fɛ hu no court of appeal for decision no say one sided so ɔmo de awie nti eti bi ka ho asɛ me bo ana ayɛ one sided in the but they said they mean you can
no come back so na one side
yes I said once I say yeah he say oh my many what they said they mean you can say no ni what yeah di was them na also ma said they find home said the was
to the bro the
ubeba abda o man so eja so I'm because I right so ubeba be defend
we also na odwane
also the be make us so the nim so odwane you eja me nim so odwane but the lawyers were caught omo year cross examination omo president commission some your submissions kra and in your money eti no media ade ne de Ghana ne Kenya politics so bi ekodra aban adwuma so na se bia 91 million Ghana cedis ye hunu ba bia afa e wo se ebisa no enya politics because okoko ye maslog whatever no enya NDC enya party no national eye nyina ye sika NDC fo ne MPP fo ne ayifo nyina ye nyina sika enti so ye yu se kokko ye tua uka ye ma wala wanse ye ma onyoma na so utimi nkyere ba bia sika na fade a eja say esi hwemu ye enti no se attorney general say oko supreme court dia Dominic minimum ni pa Dominic nya obi a sade ne nya no kro be ka say no kre ande minimum ni pa enti se Dominic an kasa ka say okwa ni makwakohwe decision no said the na so be it also all right said the oka say ma me no right to be kwai also right to be kwai as the attorney general or the attorney general of Ghana not attorney general of NDC it was feel say a bibi wo mo eso koya o ma ne nko no
ora la me hwe we wa say wo hwe decision ginasi a high court ni see ye say evidence ni nyina abeto high court na nim anko nyina baaye ndo gina so edibu aten ana pay court no so kire say enyina so a ogina so dibu aten no emu omre emu hojo emu ni namu nya den enti ebi ni mo ka say the then attorney general no anya na dwuma yi enu nti na ma appeal court dey akokobam so koye na dwuma yi na ka high court ni sig gina wie ya even sa ka appeal court ni pa miensa no ka ba ko be ka say oh da bi me nyintum the high court ye na no ano no omo miensa ni nyina say high court gina sie no entwa yi enti na che say attorney general anya na dwuma yi wo no omo ya adwene sa
me yellow ebi atwa dey no be cases our court no bebre our lawyers get a brief no mo ye ayada you so politics eja court say me who advice am dey my clients. Because our clients advise based upon the law, based upon the precedents. Maybe alone wo. Uko quarter decision be a judge in the bed. Me na make a show. Intermediate say, maybe a be court to have baby, I take it with a pinch of salt. High Court now in the case. Also on the final reason. So be convict. Why any dear we? Who are right so the Court of Appeal. So Court of Appeal for the normal decision say decision na High Court in the year. You give two. You face on establishing the case. But let us go back and see what has happened. Is it not true? Say 500 koma menuhana. I said Jackpa case. Yes, go for ambulance, bra. Ambulance now the buy no. And no man check car money ambulance. Ebidim. You see, no case to answer. There's a clear case to answer. Either obey no wako in the case. Okay, I don't know. Yes, I know catch them yet. Obviously, me father and the man normally the human be show me later. What did I make an answer? And you know, state issues, national issues, near can't answer. The deputy maker said, "Oh, water down the law no, because of politics." That you will also know about now. I say, "Because oh, if you see dear something, you dear something, you just send the tribunals neighbor." Obe won 2028. What lose? Nothing. Tribunals no. Every tribunals no. So Bekaya, Sahara causing financial loss to the state. NDC for the buy. NDC for government. Government in power at that time. Satana, J. Rollins, and the buy. Woman 2000 NPP for be winning. Now our causing financial loss with. And I'm going GNPC. It is who's a kebiabaho. The can you hear guarantee chachuchikata a year. And a guarantee the colo guarantee no time na by a fiso. And then the Sahula balloon yaba. And to be a woo ye be. And so when years or China because I am mra. Nanya una abetina her forever and if you're musuyi. And you know, me mom dear. Me abide me wo state afa. Me knew her and I mean her me wo state afa. So because you state public or your public juma necessary no way ba e say hwemu yi. Afeni e ka ba no le posekwa. No le posekwa say just say bia another attorney general baba ka say case no pese me ye. And no just say a finality. I just on one attorney general because okay na me kan kwa ma hwe ni ye me feel say me sign ediba forward. It is a finality. It is not the end of the matter. Obi from a bachelor. Because no, me person me proceed. But the point that me make it is that I didn't know one ma court in any SM. So if it's the case in ya, then it is the benefit of the person who's been accused. It had no ma court in any SM in any way. One can say no, don't get it. State funds.
No, we say 8 years, 7 years, 6 years.
And then resources they wait. Obi oho kwa any land case be 15 years that case dey cause unim dey cause. Hwe my trial court to them judge no. We share that am court chiro na me hwe say me bo lawyers from here me cases man. To me chiro na me hwe. Judge ni 20 cases. Oya no ajeni 2 weeks. Oya no ajeni 3 weeks. Oya no ajeni well, my sister cried out almost October, November. Not just a year now, and no. It is the judge is so packed to say, oh, TV we are casing in tape. And then last make a check for since I see a tribunal's neighbor. Yes, certificates can set up more courts. We are training more 300 judges spend the whole room out. 300, the whole country. And no more cases will be now. It is the delay in our courts, you know. And you go up, I had the load. About judges, you know, so I want to me. Imagine the judge in 20 cases. Or your way, you no assign I recability, now you no assign about the name first. And anybody that's anybody no bit me aside, why you expect any good stuff to come from the country, Massa? I didn't get me, Ghana and Namu. Obi Biara, Ubaba Faga, fence, Ubaba, Juma, buying. na wontimi mbu akontan ni ye no e wo se ani udi na me feel say there must be laws, proper laws a hold public officers. For example, you see a man a license to build. Now public officer waka sign a year man say on go sit down waterway. Ne yesi nipa ne dan ne yemu na nipa na ma order nan.
Ono don nam baby.
Ono nam baby. There must be a law. Government akwa no slow say obey say dem because you go prison. Say no ma bebre koso. But me dey me gina ha. Me go gina ha na me go gina because am benefit me.
Yes, the political twist of it, you know. Amana Babe say no the legal aspect of the issue na kasa na dey ato nche. And the political angle no na ya fa ne sa. What did he say? And no betumi abo because aba ne sanso a ma atemuafo no ye judicial system no ye ma no kofom effect ben na enya e international community no say o man yi kura no o judicial system no shedan ko yeti investor bi ba kura na dey mu hwehwe no.
Tio. Hwe sa OSP issue about Oforiate. Who the Americans in the kind? I'm saying any case be red alert no yen twam. Papa next tradition no me a farmer because any case be but it any say be na your case. But the way they ordered it on a political basis no it created the use so that wait to make seek political asylum see chase one sir. Because the country won't chase him into no. If you without a friend saying warrant. Now oni ho na why say the lawyer say present me bi wo ayi e ma hwe e na ye ya omo de omo law no e clean o into 1 2 3 9 years my decision na wie enti no me pa mo omo chopi omo tete stand ko nwen no omo tete wonu enkrofo bi hwe ye wa breach because omo ba enti omo nyo omo nyoma the way I say you accept them ran e kan no
Okay.
Na nipa no finding the guilty yes obi abe who say wa ya de no ni finding the guilty. Na ye twist ye in the case we anya so we de ebe ye eno de masa
Ebe hardwene lawyer me da se yaw
Agya
ye me de be da bia na me kan se bi se say running state institutions ni nyina down wa ebere bi be so no ebe kwa san be si ya ye so me adwene ho ahwade bi din se ade no ye se ye de mmara na ye adwuma nti mmara no sisi de mmara na ka no eno na aka say ye obi not protocol say wan you know eno emphasize me ho hwe but akoko take some political twist bi ama the legal aspect of yi na ka betuma gina so kora de asua bibi de akere nkwala bi law students ade da chi bi kora no e say law students bi wo che ne say wo di sa case ruling kora no e che na de a political adwin do benya e de fa ho onya the legal adwin so nya no de ye adwuma no ruling ni high court there appeal court there three ni nyina say nyina so bi nse da enim and the process is a firm where you do baby edro ni yawo mama 15 minutes
Jameda sepa and random you say I never but I had a very long week but metna say almost at 2 a.m. na meda sotio I read the entire 94 pages because I knew some politicians by the omobe and I wanted na me susu say masudi say me some watie for anopai meda producer na say I tried to summarize the 94 pages into the essential part into me send them our producer no but eja me that is so me 15 minutes I will go into the matters without I will just state there I don't have the record of the appeal into me need all the record into everything I'm saying is based on the judgment of the judges because I know na makai eja you've asked very, very important questions, and I so be politicians or be action there a boy no be their canasem, right? In my view, the more important question started with the nature of the appeal. Until filing appeal, there was what we call preliminary legal objection. Say, yeah, some no cry no now ni ha. Inti uni hu kwai cry say uba appeal, and that's where I want to start from. And I thought that was very interesting because that's a pure technical legal argument to say you don't even subject yourself to the process until you buy appeal because by dint of having someone you shouldn't even be coming.
No.
And I think that it would have been good to go into the merit, but unfortunately, no. The decision of whether or not YMB appeal Numukrano was a question of answer now be raising legal objection or court of appeal. No, there are basic things. There's a form, there's a structure. You need to put them on notice. In Tiakame, I said, even the process, I was saying, dear anymore to raise the legal objection, no. States now and yet into that legal objection now say yes setting aside. But I think that would have been very interesting to know because she was extradited, because no one didn't pay by no one out there pay by who can say appeal because you didn't even subject yourself to the process. And so that was set aside. I thought that would have been interesting to put the whole matter to rest, but we didn't get the benefit because prosecution in sense of
prosecution the prosecution leading to her conviction.
No, in terms of the legal objection, no. Also also raising legal objection, no. One fasa to raise the legal objection. So legal objection, yes, set aside, and I call the merit of the case. Now I'll bear the merit of the case. Eja, okay, and as I said, the fonts are a bit too small. I should have done a better work at projecting it better. The Nyamansia and Yera no Kabi Ugupi charges 78 in even the numbering was wrong. Even the numbering of the charges, but numbering was wrong, and it was raised by the Court of Appeal. Eja, me bo kwa do 78. Sebi enye fishing expedition na mede bibia sha no na mekoto se anye bia ba ko bigina. Dia mede ba bo bia no e wo se e wo fapem na gina bibi so na the Constitution 19.2 say I should present to you in sufficient detail, and that is relevant because Court of Appeal jina so the ball kwa do ni bi tugu ye. Say mabo kwa bi say jawa ye we I was say me catch say e da say uye we ofa we na wo djuma wudi ye nti wo kwa do nie. Nti the edikan on the pure the 6 issues the edikan is still in a conspiracy to steal. There is willful causing financial loss and conspiracy to willfully cause financial. There's causing loss to public property. There's money laundering. There's improper payment of public funds, and there's unauthorized commitment and procurement act. Inti ugupi 78 ni na insia ni. Eja de intina high court jina so the bua no for on the stealing matter no. Stealing no the edika documentation say nya no on the Obatampa 500,000 ekoye ye wo krata bia wa sign say a receipt because o try a letter from Maslock eko Obatampa eko ka say usika no unsanya nka nti o mo fa interest mbrew and no mo say oh mo no ngita hodie through WhatsApp o maka wo say sika no say the bro obacho na nti the bro obacho na no asa try letter every Maslock Abraham said Mesado.
Now some WhatsApp message
because the Supreme Court specifically said it. Says our WhatsApp messages bakokra and backward. And this is important. Now you see, and I make say is a question of whether or not and what I'm doing is only presenting the decision as I've read it and as I understand it. And to say say because say akoya fanu nkomo bako say me discan bro obachona. Bako say but one first gun because don't forget Yoko friend no mamina deny right so right from the beginning nya fe no ka say at no point no admit say wa 500,000 into kwadu bofo from Obatampa say ye di sika na brewo Ghana must go mu mamene say me nsanka ye but ye wo krata mamene nsa sha no after who claim say o dia bre no ebe busa se sika no fama dia bremi as Maslow. O si why receipt be ono ankasa sign receipt be say or the sikana bro na court and say even that as evidence I was saying I will certify because it's a public institution so there is a requirement for evidence in sa receipt no kwano it doesn't meet the basic criteria for an evidence but the bigger question they say ususu say because now the question is a doubt other no one kasa betwe letter free maslow abra or say famisika breme so nim say wa gene obacho no total so ordinarily it raises doubt and then you said the doubt accrues to the benefit of the accused it say and yanti e ho ase bia bama e man say the yabo no kwa do no odibem kosi se ebebu no for and you see that constitutional provision is very very interesting and I'm sure say he is a defense attorney now inti enya dia obe siki to say obe yi bibia free sa say obi dibem kosi say ebebu no for no because eja their own pen say o man muni nyina before man to me a persecuting atamfo right what you don't want is an attorney general to become a persecutor general and even you take the political undertones efa baby say the all part and say o the case ni nyina no dia na we ya ni say wan ya wadwuma ye and it's my humble view that particularly when I saw the letter from the respected Godfred Odame I thought the case could have been this is not a case in my deepest humility to him you lose because I actually think that there was wrongdoing. This is my personal opinion. But I think the prosecution did a very, very horrible job. My humble view. Right? Eja, then na ususu say the nature of the Sikano, because now there is doubt. Watre letter through Maslock, Sikano. There is a new receipt coming. Akoye obatan pafo no ano asem, ene maamena no asem. Lawyer akase she's not even bound to say Obeka Bibia. Into the fact only no does not mean anything. Only her. But when I also prove say indeed Sikano corner chain. Only Bibia is consider the person who is retorting. But senya yera vondi busaya no. Sabi obatampa enye kitchen edwa. Dealing in Bachona total for 500,000 belonging to a Maslock that was sent through an account. Does it raise reasonable doubt? My answer is yes. The second issue on the stealing and fraud, that training, 85,300 people. Yes, so mobile sensitization, I have mobile 20 CDs. Into 20 CDs, not the multiply 85,300 now, 1.7 million and 6 be that's all. But no account no 1.8 million. Not to say approval 1.7. But broso 1.8 million. Question and they say Yoko Yebusanu in cross examination. Into 80 mostly there is an auditing firm and a year way. Nipa 85,000 mubusa nipa baako anambienu
so omu na
so omu ye ya na Yoko si omanye eja
be se nipa na yese ya train omu no yenya baako kra ya da
85,000 yentima mubusa baako anambienu say yese e be ma obia 20 CDs ebaso and the evidence is that omu Yoko si original regional directors miensa adansi die say training na maso regional directors adan ni anfa mo mama court because lawyer Becca Church say here say o ko for nipa miensa o mote ase abegina say oh we ka kire me say training na maso nipa no wo ifa ne bra court then they see prosecution ho kwan say o mo decide nipa miensa ne beba court ama o mo abedi o madanse then they see Yoko ho kwan say ko mbebusa say nipa 85,000 now also here sensitization no baako we mame number na me for musa say baso ana maso eja so does that also raise doubt? I think it does. Where does the doubt accrue to? It accrues to the benefit of the accused. Eja the toso miensa which is PW1 which is here Stevenamwa
sticker
who was the MD, Obeya MD of Maslock, and PW5. On the record, there are clear things. Yes, document. Mo ye audited che. Mo who said document. Niamani be including the Makola the burning You did. There's a report that suggests say Muamu who said Sikano was actually paid, and he was admitted in cross-examination. Into the question is, and then the man from Muamu internal report Amaya Ambetuga. Na prosecution eyi bi fimu and I say eyi de M1 fimu. The question of ex gratia I say yetie sika bi amano no. Yetie sika no the yebusa PW5 when they approve sika no PW5 say me na me approve here. Sometimes na when they wa buy mu na ma me no wa buy mu. Me say enya buy mu. This is the first time I am following the facts of the case as a lawyer, not as listening to the public commentary. And Mimi Susuyemu, I think that the prosecution, assembly Musa prosecution. Because Makacho said, my humble view is there was real questions to answer. But the entire law national said the burden of proof no was wrong say. Lawyer the other country is a criminal court. I hardly do in all my practice. Criminal court my backup and crown man ye me the mobi because the way say odi obi kwa afiase no eja it's too much. Say why nye adwumani ya enye se bio enye sikasem ana enye ajapade bi keke nipa kro be kwa afiase. So me as a matter of principle I don't do criminal cases because the stakes are too high. I'm not afraid of the stakes. But I think that it needs the level of diligence and commitment I was say from both prosecution need the defense side no. Sebi unya ho akabre entrance se na metrance 2 make okay se mania kokoya medete anopa yenye. The prosecution owes all of us a big apology in my view because eja case no idea there's clear signal and the court of appeal and kasema many are innocent. They are only saying that the burden of proof, what is required to make her say a bemon required do no. Abaya and Mitisa standard no, and they are two different things. Yes, she's been acquitted and discharged based on the fact say Susudia was saying Kayendru no, and the mon required do Yandru sa Susudia no, and Chesa said you are on your bonnet, and I'm sure so one can say on him say. There are some things that she needs to answer for. That's the first. On the second part of willful causing financial loss, no. Court of Appeal, Nina so ne say charge no say na meka 19(2) of the Constitution say I was say you give them the detail what they are wire. Court ne say charges ni bebre wo ho a ye kan ye hu dia maame na ye nti maame na nkasa bone be no ye no e wo say what charge sheet ne so but charge sheet no does not reflect the nature of that and there is a case I say charge sheet ni defective would not charge sheet na defective no so a prosecutor enye ye nti sa no na wo say e twa charge ni nyina mu because sabi ye all charge no in order to in sufficient detail say this is this is your act a mass no this is basic criminal law matters. Yes, there is sufficient law to say substance over form the fact that criminal case in fact technicalities and charge ningu biasa, but the decision of the court, I think it's Mercer Thompson, if I'm not mistaken. The case may say the 19(2) near constitutional pedestal. In the constitution say about I say a child in sufficient detail their wire. Into yen to me in fact court act new constitution no ejina pia was say about I was a charge no chira their wire no. To me free because another law which is the court act say say your boy kwadu any kwasa technicalities not technicalities so the to charge sheet na but that case is very clear to say kwadu no constitution say your boy kwadu I will say nempem edru ni say I will say you can their why insufficient detail show but kwadu na ya bono no sa details
me tell you nyina na che say kwadu no ya nhyeda nya hwehwemu ankwa chiri yie ama yenye nyina so emu odu amfa emua amfa ni asam ne dia ene na high court gina si no si ye no otimafo na bu atanchi ana.
That's a very 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 good question and I know say the Obi Obeka Court of Appeal decision ni bia I'm sure including the respected Afiasewa who was a judge in the matter would realize that the Court of Appeal is directly impugning the judgment because what they are saying they say one kasa and yera kwesi kaye say Court of Appeal say try court misdirected on one kasa no because you say kwadu no de owo asudie so ochire enye de yabo no kwadu no
yamo de obo
kwadu na wa asudie so oba chire mu a chinje bia ni ho say asam no say netie but Kamia say because the charge was put in the negative no otemofo no susu say oh because say oma asudie no say na esitie no is been framed in the way say udi for umo mechire mu de nti a woni for and because one mechire mu de nti a ondi for nti the Court of Appeal nipa miensa no the three wise men no esusu say the trial court erred in deciding again. If you look at the nature of the reasoning of the 94 pages, it's very difficult not to agree with them, right? It's very difficult not to agree with them. But maminka we see. Eja medema no si no. Me susu yem no. You see, anytime I the politics and makawo fear, anytime our politics ni bedi enim no, we create some of these problems. Say ya dear say prosecutors no ye on one drink so e bon kwadwa sabi they didn't even need all the 76 charges, right? You needed one or two and you needed sufficiency and you needed detail so obey wadwuma ye because sabi all the 78 no ba ko bia to me and I think that was a mind ye fa ni nyina ngu no so and ba ko failure anye dia 78 there yentwitwa na bakubi be so online but I think say prosecutors awa asudie say be the integrity of the prosecutorial powers no mu ye du oman bo obi kwa bi say be anya asem ketwa and ye wo ha nyina no ye pese wo wa ye oman boni ekwa afiase but the last thing ye penny say ye be weaken the integrity of our criminal process because eno no oman to me no etimi jina wach etimi eka wo hye intina law student bia beka cho say the thinking of criminal justice ne say yama abonefo oha anaodu enko kosi say yedi nipa tenteni or nipa oteni ni bako beko afiase no nipa oha a waye bone enko so that's the reasoning of the jurisprudence of criminal proceedings on that basis yente politics ne so okay. In this case, if the professional pursuit was done, clear investigations were done in the way Minsusu Sebi Kamameno would get the liberty she's getting and the loophole she's getting. Okay. But the fact is, if you read the judgment of the Court of Appeal, it's very, very difficult to think that they are wrong. Okay.
Topic na kan kwa ye be chef region.
Few minutes.
Memo bia 3 minutes. Na ye de ye ntukwasi. Na wo se be ma wa ye hwe ya o kan sem bi se nipa fa se omo senate bia omo di adanse. Nipa se be di adanse. Nipa be ye imprimo de watching 85,000 and they say koko training omo ba ko kure tuwa megina court say
85,300
kure tuwa megina court say me Agya Kwabena ka say be training me ayi say de sika ye kokrodoma nso ye training me ba ko kure tumi anko ani attorney general no ne investigators na anya omadwuma yi 2 sika na wo so de akokomo nipa no onipa no se sika no wo so de abrɛ me ni sha me se daabi wo so se me de brɛ wo de brɛ me WhatsApp message a e kire say madam said na tamaklo ebia say the money has been sent to you. Oh okay, I need I will receive it blah blah. For WhatsApp message den so bra and so ntumi afa ama any attorney general na anya na adwuma yenti na no so see ye ni me no de yefa de me no
I would have even doubt the WhatsApp message if they have even sent any WhatsApp message.
Yeah, share. Enti ma me mo 3 minutes.
May answer a question in here, but
3 minutes will me patch.
But I have some 4 points I'm person me yana clear.
3 minutes.
The kind from conversation now question in here my back conclusion says Ghana have two forms of justice.
And that is
one for the ruling members of the ruling party and one for members of the opposition party. And I'll establish why. Honorable Kasano, Honorable made a fundamental point. Stress say a seminar about Tampa manager never kind and a new massem. Now even Crown bet media dance krumu etia Madam said in
so won't to me there.
Madam said in the oh no, that's what you said.
No, that's why
it's my 3 minutes. About 3 minutes. Enti honorable yes na papa ne kase manager ne kase na say prosecution witness ne kase or discuss ko see car nim ne sa nyoma ni nia eye nanum asem yentimi ngina sa nanum asem ne so fa convict you me pa cho o kan court of appeal judgment we now tie the honorable ka now they compare judgment convicted chairman won to me
but some go appeal
chairman won to me pa cho chairman won to me den tie ye de ne koto afiase ne say
you guys are not helping
prosecution witnesses no and the bedi adance yes say what the assassin more for a certain purpose. Judge no G2 mu say there is no direct evidence into gina seminar prosecution witnesses never kan so and no twa asem ni hu bi de ya adance here in semni nya senia circumstances ni event ni nya no de ba the conclusion say chairman won to me a default. Now if you cast asem we say obi enum asem entimi fo bi nkọ afiase me pa cho chama wontu me obi enum asem e de na kwakọ pie baby o we
and two different scenarios two different
cases criminal matters
mama ne time ni bi mama bako ye say be the second abro or Ghana must go mu I don't know me pa cho and ni evidence bi abia me wa chiri no o ka se ogina bachuna tota nti emphasis bachuna tota no ogina na ho nye se bi a atechemu na na adro ho
but there's also a letter from Maslow
ye ko gina ho bia ye hu but chama to me die no asase nti ne se ye kwa asase no se be hu se bi akoso ho nti no ya dance ye betu die
good Jacob na wo analogy ni excellent when so ye sika no ko Maslow account man ke be wo Maslow bank account mu it's the same thing. The same standard, the same burden of proof, the same evidential burden. Now, in the prevailing case, honorable von this and can say, nipa ne kaso discount command na video bi ani ho, infoni bi ani ho, intinye ntimi ngina nipa ne numa sem nso emfa nka se the okan ye no kra. Me pa cho prosecution witnesses no mo ka se chema won to me the assassin no mo so mo ko illegal man na video now audio honorable me throw ha okay say video be here
me famra Agya Kwabena wi aye o bi na me say me tana
me pato chama won to me no ye bo video bi kire yen say
me na me magene kan bibi sa
am so me the magene kan
me illustration am
me so me ye chama won to me asem no before prosecution witnesses me ka say prosecution witnesses me ka video nie anase audio nie eye no kra say chama won to me the assassin no my say yen koni yen fan ko galamse ni yen fan teneka omo fa bibi asamba eyo manu masem e no mo de baaye ebiem ye ni aye bisa question around this table say identity na beneficiaries of training no yen form one page na court prosecution ni case ni say training ne kra amba so there were no beneficiaries in the case of chama won to me identity na prosecution witness ne ka say and now prosecutors ne allege say chema won to me the nkrofo no prosecution witness ne ko bi hokoto excavator na say excavator ne for purposes of illegal and na yan kofa nipa na omoto excavator no won ho amma testify say they came to purchase the excavator for purposes of illegal mining and that is what they told me and that ehun adanse enie I don't know your number. So you see, this is the same criminal matter. It's the same burden, but when you compare the two, you realize that there is a major defect somewhere. Again, in terms of to me, asem no.
Because I'm saying, no, 6 minutes. Number 3. But
once the first round, no man 10 minutes. But what my lawyers on 15. It's your discretion.
Wouldn't say. Maybe 2 way. Me bias.
Minim say
Wadaroma. Wa someone.
Oh yeah, justice Bafuboni. Justice Bafuboni. Me secure leave.
Me mouth time.
Me secure. But you mouth time. We dey family home misrel.
So I say mouth time.
Leave na me secure. Leave na me secure.
10 minutes.
You leave na secure. Justice Bafuboni misrel. And the point I'm making is over the 2 cases now.
Okay.
Now compare the basis upon which Chema Wontumi has been convicted. Now for the basis upon which Madam Sedinam Temaklo has been released there. What you say? It raises much to be desired. Say, is this the same standard of proof? Is this the same evidential burden? Mbrakona nye di ye adwuma na na.
Okay.
Honorable body san ka sem bi say asudie bia anda Sedinam Temaklo so say obeba be ka say ebia sika no mo de maame ana e wo so mo no mo probi me pa cho Chema Wontumi asem no. Ye di asudie no to Chema Wontumi so say wo so establish say one fast asase na mo for illegal mining. And that you see Chema Wontumi intima establish say intini ye di na kwa afiase. We cry circumstantial evidence pointing to 2 reasonable conclusions no. Ye di obi akwa kogina afiase. Inti asema me de me what can say judgments are for posterity.
Okay.
Judgments are not for a particular individual. And that share the course na eja it raises politics. Me de manusi finally unim say judgment na bana sisia ma Google or graphic online or online PA. It is not even the true certified copy from the court. Which means the judgment was not released by the registry of the court. So counsel, it begs for the question, say,
no.
Who released this judgment? No, it's a valid concern I'm making. And that is the same, and I have proof here. And I'm saying, online platforms. The judgment has been published all over. Anybody can Google.
Because it's hard, no.
Anybody can Google.
After ruling, no. Reporters cracker said that day now, almost just after judgment, publish it.
And I'm saying, say, Oko online.
Yes, certified to copy there. Not to say
anybody can check.
Okay, me that say
online. And I'm saying, say,
yeah, judges no be here.
No one since I
need their registry. No registry need their two judicial service. No registry need their two judicial service. Let watermark letter so.
Social media nana.
Me pacho.
Every baby, but men shall every baby a question the way. We see when they be online. When will baby or paper? Any, and a judge for no, or man release at the end.
One a judge for a judge for
a friend is saying,
and a judge release judge.
One release it. What's one
registry of the
registry? The one the catcher of say registry be about by argument say or the baby to paper. Now where who Sadia no paper one. Walk about registry and I say Ibia Subo. No,
we judge your
Obianka Hinchira was
there no judgment.
Can I was very quiet.
You are not quiet. You are not quiet. You are not quiet. So please. There be obemu 4, obemu 1. 3 remaining.
The make say. You hear him say judgment about registry no never release judgment no. Asema maybe say we see when hunu biribi e wo pepem. Who baby our social media until say registry na abeka say ye edit two people ye edit two social media no you have no right to question them. Why did they release what was not signed? In any case they didn't tell you they've released it into social media.
They
didn't. So I mean what are you asking them anyway? That's a no nanche Chema Wontumi MPP. And again, with the greatest respect to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Mamua Brantiano. Yes, you see, any time into men can be brave. A brana Abujinapa or ye one Kasawa appointee, Land and Natural Resource Minister. A debate just say, akonta mining any wuntumi ye illegal mining no dia Nanado Danko Akufo-Addo ye ne say okogina sempie so ka say akonta mining and wuntumi are not involved in illegal money. You see, if you do not reprimand your child at home...
Can you produce the letter?
Hold on. If you do not reprimand your child at home, the law shall reprimand your child for you publicly. And that's what is happening to you. And that is... and that is what is happening to Wuntumi. The MPP
it's politics, it's not
refused.
Program here.
Okay, that's it.
This is why English teacher.
MPP Entimi antwe woni abofra Wuntumi aso wo fie ewo dem. Ghana mara betwe waso a wo betwe waso wo badwam. Eno na ma Wuntumi akode awo komi mu. Nti so obebo obi subo a Nanado Danko Akufo-Addo ni MPP ana ama Wuntumi ebrebre a wo
politics
na abranti afi no di 50 years e ko 2 years
ni train aso
ekodi 20 years o ti ase no
the man binim judicial power dey meje okroma
afi mo tie
who year 55 so who year 55
medin kra say efiase no nti Bible kra ka say obi a wodi obi be kokkote mfa no kwa efiase no na saa nipa no woye obi a woye uni owudi ni ya ase.
No, we need scripture.
It's a very horrible place you will want anybody to go.
Vesbeg. Honorable, you are quoting the Bible reference. Honorable, you are quoting.
Bible you are catching. So we shall summon Fitiasia because ye ya ahobrasini ani die mu no so so a appeal court judge for the able to justice say no media misom ebere be ba na wo ya attorney general na wo gina o man na mu akodi asam a ya empepere wo ho ni asam no abra wo ni nyina so the asam ni ye na on you see Godfrey Dame attorney generalship is becoming one too many of irregularities in some cases that are very high profile. So we compare Jakpa Hun Sansam calling him any a day at the before for a year.
Okay.
You know, you do not adduce any proper evidence in court. I mean, you don't need 78, you know. I mean, just one or two, you will do your cases. And I really feel that. Yeah, dear. I mean, no send them time o'clock.
Yeah, kind you know. There be a can't say me say. See animal kingdom. A whole crumple mraya juma. Be a muegu cram mraya juma. Ubu and gumra so I'm rachu wasu. Na yɛhwɛ kwan a yɛtoto yɛ nneɛma sɛ ɔman bibi ba na yɛka wasɛm a sɛ bia woka na ankɔye ama party A a woyɛ party B ni wokwa ka na ankɔ party B ni ankɔye ama woyɛ party A ni there's no objectivity ɔwɔ deɛ ɛyɛ mu ɔman yɛde didi mu ama sɛ judiciary no kora no abɔ awura hɔ
ɛnyɛ easy o
eti si yɛnhwɛ yi a wonyini sɛ yɛde eti kora baabi a ɛbɛtumi de ɔhaw abrɛ yɛ paa because esi na kan sɛ obiara sɛ asɛm bi ba na sɛ yɛde politics kɔtare ho kakra bi pɛpɛɛpɛ na sɛ adeɛ no sɛ mmara bɛyɛ adwuma no na politics na yɛde yɛ adwuma ɛboa yɛ ni
ɛgya mmom deɛ
MP
judiciary no ɛsɛ
na meboa
tio judiciary no ɛsɛ yɛ independent ɛni sɛ president na yi chief justice because the presumption is say or the nipa na akɔtena hɔ it he can reach that person
ebi nso na nyɛ saa
ebi nso na nyɛ saa but tio yɛ ka sɛ conflict of interest ɛyɛ etrimo eye etrimo nya se bia they happen there a manifestation of etrimo ade no enti ne se me na made wakwa ho na me case we masa hwe case ma me a office wa beka se there be that is the point enti no se de be ya ye betimi ama judges no omo independent no who so bia ntim me pamom mfie kodwa we so ana me punish me no e from ye wholly independent near per system bia ye di chief justice either say by the senior most and eba intenye so bi na eba be you time do a if it's the time na so una over
Mr. the constitutional review committee for say 10 years no o ji tum say ye
well 10 years say
guaranteed
as a chief justice 10 years no
there be before say because if the chief justice is not good not 10 years not that sort of
Yes, so what I say.
and the independence of the judiciary has got nothing to do with 10 years. The independence of the judiciary say akonwa ya otisu yi. Obi antimi mba mefa ekwan foforo bi so influence you and entertain you. Because say the chief justice back on yi no. O chief justice back ti akonwa so say there's no prima facie case into no. Ade na nsesanke ye. But he himself president otisu yi. From the time no a campaign, also be chief justice, there was no evidence.
On any general secretary,
Also be electoral commission.
Council,
there was no evidence at that time. Maybe
you know better.
Better. This is not politics.
Council, you know
these are national issues. So a lawyer in a court in a casama making. And Kabi will say, Akaka krebi ni edun kraman so. Because there's no justice anymore.
No, that is not it.
I am totally aligned.
No, it's in a day, no. Me were bare 15 cases a day. Our lawyers work quarter or more year cases are man. What's the mechanism? The woman a ban ruling a ban. Oh, shake ruling no name. And Mrano, even the president, because a practicing lawyer will be a law no work at any given time. Intellectual lawyer there, but one okeka kanisem, but practicing lawyer only be a law no work. It is all be to pay for about or the case abana be to the for. And so to the fu be a law no work. Oh yeah, no we no catch that question. Okay, see a good power be winning. Who court? Really back where be pano. Actually could do Supreme Court and say it me overturn. It you know, ama a trial near yina man for you. I too expensive. It will be one cop first one. Not somewhere though. Well, lose all this can be on the better ones.
No, better if you
find the property.
It's true. I agree.
It's vacation. And you know, I was saying judiciary needy. And in the Nigerian term, it's a legislature. Your case, yellow be not saying ya. And judiciary never can say some constitution. The president in the Bibia, a judiciary compromise.
Even if coup d'etats they exist.
And on who said the center will not hold into everyone. I soldier for no. No more can say we are. I'm not for best support in Tiangwe. It's a massa. And yet, joke when ye politics now. I'm very concerned about how they are making because we me who
can't even legal vacation.
Because who?
So the two of you. Because you seem to agree with everything.
Because you.
Because you are practicing lawyers. You are not.
I'm not. But I'm not religious in the law.
And Liberia say about 300 years cities say Sierra Leone, Rwanda, and when they see say the systems that hold the country together compromised that is when
put the law into their hands.
The question me be some a lawyer for any politicians. Sasa sina yesi two galamsey was no. That license was so see too good was one.
Aye. That want to be a license.
It may be question.
The license is absolute. Someone be some here.
License is better than absolute.
Would the mammy be some question?
I'm part of
the license was one
resource committee, so I know what I'm talking about.
Akwana, Mr. question from. Akwana Obasa so. Obabe reclamation yes so too man. Obi man the document because Chrome has say lawyers. So me person me mount a year assignment of my by word of mouth and
by document.
And then I woke up. Who can say the evidence in my show? It is a nipa no went me my evidence document we no dey ma me wan go seek consent. I didn't think I judge never wait there. The one first the evidence dey no there. I am very evidential.
The theater of the absurd.
No, it doesn't mean you should box me. It doesn't mean you should box me. The reality, whether
MPP no yenya ntia say odupa beje asase no concession no oje concession so say large scale or whatever medium one kind medium scale small scale no oje a na wadane de ma illegal manners no oje ni take and I said the tips
how can the land that you have a license
to
mine gold?
You
do illegal mining on the land that has been given to you to mine gold.
It is possible.
Illegal.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
The license is.
See, the airline
it has a recommendation.
License and Mining Act, it's clear, absolutely clear. When a license is given you on a particular land, you need an operational permit within the legal frameworks of the mining process.
And how you conduct the mining.
And how you conduct the mining. I'll give you a typical example.
Is that the issue?
Was that the issue? No, but that's not the conversation on the table. That's not the conversation on the table. But that's not the conversation on the table. It's true. That's not the conversation on the table. It is true. You're not licensed. Let me take care of but take care of areas you cannot mine. It may be within your license. But you cannot go there.
Is that the case?
Is that the case in the forest? So you cannot say a license to you gives you a blank opportunity your own theory. It is not like that. Whether you are lawyer or not, if you understand English, you understand.
With all this, you betumi outside try the view now.
It will be double jeopardy. Unless a different fact. Unless it's different fact.
But the bogu and the ashem. But you to be shemu ani enyansa fufuro bi e betumi sande na akoko.
Yes, on different factors. But it's important. Again, Matrenia Man 9 the edikan on the comparing Wontumi to Maslock, no. Yes, there are similarities. Me Susu say the reliance on the person now acquire mining, no, the evidence of the person who is, in my view, Wontumi then he's the real criminal,
the principal,
the principal criminal, no. Using him to get to Wontumi, it happens in criminal trials, but I think that the over reliance on his testimony is a real issue at appeal, but his lawyers will deal with that in appeal.
Which was not denied by Wontumi himself.
But having said that, having said that, I think the difference,
anyway,
the difference in Maslock is that there is real document of receipts and letters coming from Maslock asking for interest, and there's a real. I think no was say me say me the sikanema o ma me receipt. And I'm my minister one farm me now me try letter cry by J's ebusa for scan money. It's a very different.
Is there as an evidence?
Yes,
but there's no receipt or messages for evidence. Which one would you have?
There's no message, but there's a letter purporting. So
did you see the money being sent to him?
The point is that
you
yes,
want to meet
there's
people
a real
around to the people for the office. You saw them.
Yes. There's a real
issue what issue
serious, of course.
I think so. So I think that difference you're very clear. In one part, there's actual doubt. Say Sikano Wahin. There's a legitimate question to answer. Sikano Wahin. But the reason why the claim and I say kwadudia engine no because investigators are nyoma adwuma here in my view to answer clearly sikano when the second part in said that the regional directors the question is say yeji obiadanse dey in Wontumi case no both of them were in court where yen can say Wontumi because documentary evidence and yet the only evidence there is oral evidence as well.
No, not in assignment.
No, I'm not talking about that.
Dealing with
I'm
land.
not talking about
dealing
assignment.
with land, yes.
I'm not talking about assignment. Because to me, testamentary evidence,
oh, yes.
it's allowed. So nothing stops that.
But
question is,
just a point of order. Testamentary evidence, who say, Kuma say no. So person transfer land.
I'm not talking about land. I'm talking about evidence as a block. See, I'm from news. You probably understand what I'm. Okay. Let me land properly.
All right.
The point I'm making is that in the Maslow case, nothing stops testamentary evidence. Nothing stopped you from calling the directors or Musi training number for them to testify in court so that Obeno Manu die in the record. But relying on a third party to come and tell us is a flaw that should have been exploited. And then the last one, Eja, yeah, ko na politics who na many lawyer say I also think say we need to look at our judiciary critically. Obi Opega na yebia, including those of us who are vested in the process.
I agree.
Should be very, 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 very interested in because you see. The real question is, as practicing lawyers, but as practicing lawyers, justice has to be defined and predictable. I completely agree. Justice has to be not swift, but it has to be proceed in a way that it's not denied by the slowness of the process. Indeed, we need to look at judiciary in whole. But having said that, lawyer behind say untimi sebi mankind 94 pages na better na I would have been doing a great disservice to everybody listening because sebi asudie were so and the politicians are part of the problem in why the judiciary seems the way it is. In Pembebre no obi aso na fa without necessarily listening to the reasoning of the court. Meaning say be lawyer for me no fact the same person and it's funny obeko court we no argue one side
that's the beauty of the
other court the same case man now the other court ojina fa no akojina fa
yeah professor
exactly so I agree say in judiciary say be they are learned lawyers as well until they can reason ordinary see be ordinary they can reason any decision they want out but the point is judiciary and the what to me so making decisions to the extent that it's not differing from the law. I think we should respect that. Okay. Because can polarize the system because the fact that I can take one case and argue from both sides means I also say case be about
that's the beauty of the law.
Exactly. Into the fact say the to me ma obi say on or what to me so see na we need the decency to respect that without reading the political undertone because that increases the polarization of the
decisions of the court. The presumption in law they say it keep public policy. Public policy is the Crawford dream. Ena Emrana Kasa. Inti na unza ikosi biwa ya 12 member jury and not 10 of them. No more here, you know. Omom ya lawyer for move street sooner haba. Inti judge biya. The judge biya.
Counsel, I disagree with you with contempt.
You can't because this is a fact. And it
of course, the jury is from the
Inti no judge biya no udi asema naturally no. Except public policy no. Account answer no we di asema. Inti ubehwe the ekoso. Oba transfer the ecost until even here do any emrana kasa semrana so are outdated oba hwe emrana ba bia do until the president no the judges actually civil law jurisdiction they go back to the law all the time because sometimes the law has become obsolete. There is no law in place of it, so judges have to come up with precedents which other courts will follow.
Policies are not really.
Policies are not really. Also, problems of one who or may in some way the court.
That's why some people are convicted to
the first problem is about how charge sheets are drafted. When the state charges someone with a crime, the charge sheet is supposed to say exactly what the person has done.
Of course,
the person did, the specific acts, the date, the amount, the transaction. What's happened in some of these cases is that charges were written in a genetic way, basically repeating the wording of the law with a name and a date attached, with nothing to show what was actually done differently from the charge sheet. Interested? I don't know. Charge sheet. I also say yeah. They want to be date in the country. Can you name so from the shock? Can I say no? It's also can be now.
Yes, some of the charges are extracted out.
That's the charges.
Even Hanan case ni Hanan case ni BS.
But I must say, na can say.
Ejan come be say make be finally.
You can't. There be finally be any baby. Me da so papa.
One of the first bite. It also one of the final bite.
Me da say. It's question me da say. Virginia, because so me for day so by me da say, and I me bra pedi cha so su dwana so by lawyer ni na fe ya so mpa so by ono so me da na se papa pese mu nya munya bre e by na ka se di enkomo ka so ma do bebre na so me gidi se sa se mu ya sam a we no say 8 to 11 8 to 11 na ka se ye program na me say chire wo de obantam kakra nti yes 38 aka 3 solid hours between the 1 hour be at one topic so amane sa nti yes so akoyi the america kakra ni say enya atamo ebedidi ho no na be mo na gina na mo adwenkyira nyansa ewo mu adwenkyira ntiase ewo mu adwenkyira daache ewo mu infantipem slogan or say dwen hwe kan adwene a ebe dwene ahwe ochena ene ye ka ho asem so be di atam ago ni pamfi me biti no be anim se so dada etu ka se biti so me ha me na mo no wo kasare bisa ho se so eden na me so contribution be na me so be contribute towards Omanican Korean Drachi esa se ya me do nyina na betirem anye ya ebogbo agu ye nyina etiri so enti mo me andwene Ghana ho kane ase adwene amanyosem ho de bia mo me andwene ho kane yanye ne sa ne ya adwene se party na kata yani eni ti no se tuntum na kokko na ye ba bia ni no na tuntum kokko ni nyina yira na omma na ese etinemu no so no eno so ayire ho na ebi say yes no ku ye jenami bi di Agya Kwabena abudwa fo madam ase na say jenami nem de bi o wi ase jena o say enkran kasa aha nti yakram adom dum yan a ye be hia yakram